Hey friends, before we dive into tonight's story, did you know that nearly 80% of the people who watch these videos aren't subscribed? If you're enjoying this kind of content, consider hitting the subscribe button. It really helps a lot, and it keeps these long stories going. Also, I'd love to hear from you. What time is it right now where you are, and which city are you listening from tonight? And if these stories help you sleep, feel free to tap the thanks button to support the channel. It truly means a lot. All right, let's get into it. I kill the cruiser's engine and step onto the cracked concrete, the night air tasting of gasoline and desert dust. The lone canopy light above the pump flickers in erratic pulses, like a failing heartbeat against the vast darkness of the Northern California scrub. My flashlight beam slices through the black, illuminating the single active pump. Its digital display dead, the hose draped limply as if abandoned mid-fill. I tighten my grip on the flashlight, radio mic clipped to my vest, and force myself to breathe slow and steady. Night shift routine. Except nothing about tonight feels routine. "Proctor to dispatch," I say into the radio. My voice sounds hollow in the silent station. "I'm on scene at Route 49, gas and go. One pump running, no clerk in sight. Cameras static, requesting backup." Static crackles, then "Copy that." Units en route. I step toward the station door, the soles of my boots squeaking on the oil-stained concrete. Through the dirty glass, I see the convenience store's interior. Rows of dusty snacks, an ancient coffee machine gurgling somewhere in the back, and the security monitor over the clerk's booth. A quartet of black snowy screens. I push the door's handle. It yields with a reluctant click, swinging open into flickering fluorescent light. Inside, the air is stale, heavy with the scent of burnt coffee grounds and evaporated fuel. My flashlight beam picks out a half-filled styrofoam cup on the counter, a few stray receipts, and the dusty bark of a desiccated jerky display. The security monitor shows static, and then, for a single frame, a tall, dark silhouette in the backroom doorway before snapping back to snow. I lean in, thumb tapping the screen, nothing but interference. A soft scrape echoes from the rear, a metallic rasp like claws on steel. My hand slides to my sidearm. "Police," I call, voice firm. "If anyone's here, show yourself." Silence. Then the scrape again, louder, coming from behind the filing cabinets in the back room. I cross the floor, each step setting off memories of routine calls. A domestic dispute at 2 a.m., a drunk driver on the highway shoulder, a stray dog in someone's yard. This is different. I push through the door marked "Staff Only." The back room lies under a solitary bare bulb, its light sputtering. Shelves of motor oil cans line the walls. Empty cardboard boxes lie scattered. The back exit door stands ajar, moonlight slicing through the gap. On the floor, muddy footprints lead from the threshold toward the station's interior, one set only, as if someone slipped in and vanished. My radio flares with static. For a moment, I swear I hear old rock music, distorted chords warping into a slow dirge. Then nothing. I step back to the door frame, heart thudding. The footprints end at the edge of the bulb's glow. I lean toward them, knuckles white on my flashlight. The light flickers, and I glimpse out of the corner of my eye movement. The whisper of a figure stepping away into darkness. I whirl, empty corridor. My breath plumes in the cold air. I radio dispatch again. "Backup, ETA 2 minutes. Something's here, I don't know what." I retreat to the main area. The station's single chair by the counter has been turned to face the door, as if someone had sat and watched me enter. I approach slowly. On the seat lies Marisol's name tag. She was the clerk who called 911. Now it's here, abandoned, flipped face down in the dust. A low, metallic click behind me makes me spin. The backroom door stands closed. I step forward, hand on the doorknob. It's locked. From the other side, I hear a faint thump, as though someone bumped against the door. I draw my weapon. "Open up!" I shout. My voice reverberates off the concrete walls. No answer. My flashlight beam quivers as I press my shoulder to the door. It holds. Whoever is inside doesn't want out. The cruiser's lights flash through the front window. Backup arrives. Joe Harkin strides in, eyes narrowing as he takes in the scene. "You okay?" he asks, voice low. I nod, swallowing. She's in the back, locked in or locking me out. Joe moves to the door, kicks it. It swings open inward, empty. The back exit door stands wide open under the moon. We sweep in formation, me, Joe, 2 rookies, clearing the back room, the service alley, the perimeter. Nothing. No footprints except the single set leading in. No sign of Marisol. No figure in the shadows. Inside again, Joe checks the DVR under the counter. Wires severed. Circuit board cracked. Someone wanted no record. I crouch and pick up Marisol's name tag. Her ID photo stares up at me, wide-eyed, frightened. I slip it into my pocket. I guide the rookies outside. "Lock it down," I say. "No one in or out until we figure this." They nod, moving into position by the pumps and alley. Left alone, I step back in. The station is silent, but for the hum of the dying fluorescent light. I cross to the mirror above the counter. Security mirror, convex, meant to show blind spots. My reflection stares back, pale and tense. I shine my flashlight behind me. Empty aisle, then a whisper, soft as breath, barely audible. "Officer Proctor." I whirl. Nothing. My radio crackles again. Backup checking in. I take a deep breath. "I'm fine," I say, but I'm not sure I am. Footsteps. I freeze. Down the center aisle, something moves, a shape too tall, too slim to be human. It pauses at the backroom door, then vanishes. I run to the door. It's closed again. No breeze, no mechanism. I press my ear to the wood. Nothing but distant sirens. I pull my flashlight and gun, step back. "This isn't over," I murmur. Behind me, the security monitor flickers, just for a moment, revealing that same silhouette in the back room. Then snow, then dark. My skin crawls. I radio dispatch. "Get a tow out here. We're locking this place down until morning. And bring a tech, somebody who can pull whatever's left on that DVR." As I step outside into the chill, I glance back at the station. The canopy light flutters. The pump stands silent. In the rearview mirror, I think I see someone watching me from the shadows. But when I blink, it's gone. I sit in the cruiser, engine idling. Backup units fan out into the desert night. I dial dispatch for status on Marisol. No answer yet. I close my eyes for a moment. The static in my earpiece pulses like a heartbeat. Then a faint echo, the broken melody of that mangled rock song, drifting across the radio waves. I open my door, step back into the hush, and I realize the station isn't empty. Something remains. I slide out of the cruiser and follow the beam of my flashlight back into the station. The air inside is colder than outside, as if the walls themselves exhale a chill. Joe's voice crackles in my earpiece. "Proctor, we've got perimeter locked down." Nothing on footprints beyond 10 yards. I sweep the main floor again, methodically. Snack racks, soda fridges humming, the steel mesh door to the storeroom, still locked. My breath fogs the glass as I press my forehead to the door's small window and peer inside. Empty room, save for a tipped-over mop bucket and a coil of extension cord. No Marisol, no sign of struggle. A bead of sweat trickles down my temple. I thumb the radio. Dispatch, status on K9? Static, then. K9 unit en route, 10 minutes out. I kill the radio and move to the back room entrance. The latch sags. I push through, and the beam catches the muddy footprints again, only now they seem smeared, as if someone dragged a foot. I crouch, examining the print pattern. Heel drag, toe pivot. The person stumbled, maybe pulled backward. I trace it to the back exit. Moonlight washes the service alley in silver. I stifle a curse. Whoever did this could be anywhere now. I sweep the beam across the dumpsters, nothing but rats skittering. I train it on the far fence line, chain link topped with barbed wire. No footprints leading through. The only exit is the highway. I kneel and look closer at the mud. Embedded in the print is a small shard of metal, maybe from a tool or a weapon. I bag it mentally as the evidence. I bag it literally in an evidence-type glove from my pocket and tuck it into an evidence bag. Inside, Joe approaches. His face is drawn. We got K9 on site. He nods toward the alley. She won't go past the dumpster. I glance at the broken camera DVR on the counter. She smelled something. Whatever it is, it's in there. Joe's jaw tightens. You want to clear it? I shake my head. Not alone. I radio dispatch. Hold all units. K9 refuses beyond dumpster. I want a tech to clone DVR and forensics on prints and get me the station's maintenance logs. See if any doors were tampered with recently. He relays the message. Then he turns to me quietly. You good? I force a nod. I've handled worse. But I'm not sure that's true. The silence stretches. Then Marisol's voice again, only this time. It's on the store's small AM radio behind the counter. The dial sits between stations, static hissing, then faint, warped chords of that same rock song. I jump. Joe spins around. The radio cuts to silence. We exchange a look. That thing's unplugged, Joe says. He points to the radio's power cord, hanging, unplugged from the wall. I swallow hard. Great. I check my watch, 3:17 a.m. 2 hours until dawn. I step back into the aisle. The light flickers overhead, casting the shelves into wavering relief. I run a hand over a row of candy bars. Reese's, Snickers. Mundane. I reach the end of the aisle and stare at the back room door. I can almost feel the presence beyond it. A weight, a cold that seeps through the wood. My inner voice, the calm cop who's seen it all, tells me to call it in, retreat, wait for morning. But the other voice, the one that answers missing persons, won't let me. Marisol needs me. I press my back to the wall and draw my weapon. I flick off the safety. The click echoes. I approach the door, every sense on edge. My flashlight's beam lands on the doorknob. Satin nickel, smudged with fingerprints I can't see. I squeeze the trigger guard. On 3, I murmur to myself. 1, 2. I swing the door open. Dark, complete darkness. My flashlight catches motes of dust floating. Then the beam sweeps across the room. Empty shelves, the back exit door wide open. The muddy footprints lead out again. But now I see new prints, smaller, barefoot, trailing back in. A child's prints. My heart thuds. I crouch, following them. They circle the room, weaving between boxes, coming to rest at the base of the wall. In the flashlight's beam I see a handprint on the drywall. Small, dirty, pressed as if the hand had clung there for support. I radio Joe. You need to see this. He appears in the doorway. I point. He crouches beside me, face grim. Kid? He whispers. I nod. He ran through here. I stand and sweep the beam upward. Scratches on the wall. Fingernail marks, 4 inches off the ground. A kid tried to climb or was dragged. Joe shines his light on the ceiling tile above. It's misaligned. He pries it open with his flashlight handle. Dust drifts down. I shine the light up the gap. A narrow crawl space, darkness beyond. My stomach tightens. You think someone's hiding up there? He shrugs. Only one way to find out. We set our shoulders to the opening. I lift first, sliding into the crawl space. It's tight, 8 inches of clearance, and the air is cold, damp. My flashlight beam bounces off insulation and old wiring. I hear Joe's voice below, faint. "Proctor?" Moving in, I whisper. I inch forward, crawling on elbows. The beam catches a length of pipe, then a tangle of wires, then something else. Fabric. I reach out, brush it aside. Marisol's jacket, crumpled, damp. My heart hammers so loud I can't hear anything else. I pull the jacket closer. It smells of fear and cheap perfume. I press on, crawling toward a faint patch of moonlight filtering through a vent cover up ahead. I push at the vent. It shifts, scraping metal on metal. I brace my flashlight and kick at it until it gives way. The vent cover clatters to the floor below. I hear Joe shout and footsteps. I climb out into the back room, dropping to my knees. Joe is there, rifle trained on the service alley. He lowers it when he sees me. "You okay?" I nod, holding up the jacket. "She was here." He glances at the muddy child-sized prints. "We need to get her out." I scoop up the jacket and head for the front. The station feels different now, hollow, watched. The snacks on the shelf seem misplaced. The humming coffee machine sounds like a heartbeat. In the center aisle, I stop. The mirror above the counter catches my eye. I step under it, flashlight and gun raised. My reflection stares back, only I'm not alone. Behind me, just inches off the ground, the pale face of a little girl peers out. Her eyes are black wells. Her mouth is stretched in a silent scream. I whirl. Empty aisle. My heart explodes in my chest. I stumble back, nearly dropping the jacket. Joe's voice is at my shoulder. "Proctor?" I point to the mirror. He shines his light. Nothing. I shake my head. She was here. He helps me steady myself. "Let's get Marisol and call a child unit." We guide Marisol, pale, shivering, into the cruiser. She clutches her jacket, eyes wide. I buckle her in, then turn to Joe. "We seal this place until morning. Then we send in forensics, structural engineers, everybody," he nods. "And the crawl space, we board it up. Nobody goes in or out except us." As I close the cruiser door, I glance back through the window. The station stands silent under the flickering canopy light. In the service alley, footprints vanish into the dark. I slide into the driver's seat. Marisol sits behind me, hugging the jacket. She whispers, "He was playing hide and seek." My blood runs cold. I kill the engine. The cruiser's red and blue lights fade. I reach into my pocket and pull out the metal shard I bagged. I study it under the dome light. It's a jagged piece of a child's toy. A toy soldier's rifle, broken and bent. I look at Marisol in the rearview mirror. She stares back, hollow-eyed. I whisper, more to myself than to her, "Welcome to the nightmare." And outside, the desert night exhales. The first pale light of dawn seeps across the desert horizon as I step back under the flickering canopy. The crime scene tape flutters in the chill breeze. Forensics techs mill through the convenience store, snapping photos and dusting for prints. Joe Harkin stands off to the side, arms crossed, watching the team's work. Marisol is inside the ambulance, being checked by medics, pale, trembling, clutching that little girl's jacket like a lifeline. I crouch by the muddy prints at the back exit. The child-sized footprints trail off into gritty sand, then vanish. A tech photographs them, then gently lifts a soil sample. I rise and walk around the station perimeter. Every corner, every shadow feels alive. The tumbleweeds skitter by like ghosts. Inside, the store smells of stale coffee and bleach from the cleanup. A tech points out the overturned mop bucket and the scuff marks on the floor. Another kneels by the front counter, recovering fragments of the DVR circuit board. They'll try to reconstruct what they can, she says. Someone really tore it apart. I shine my flashlight up at the security mirror. Nothing stares back but my own exhausted face. I swallow. Joe joins me. "We good?" he asks softly. I nod. As good as we can be. I glance down at the little jacket in my hand. Too small for Marisol. Perfect for someone half her height. Inside the pocket, I find a scrap of paper, a child's crayon drawing of a faceless family standing outside a crude depiction of this very gas station. The sun is a jagged circle, the sky filled with black streaks. I hold it up. A tech hurries over. "Found more drawings taped under the counter," she says. "All show the same station, always at night, and always someone missing." She shudders. My heart hammers. "Collect them all." They bag the drawings. I tuck that one into an evidence folder. Something is chronicled here. Someone, or something, has been replaying this horror for years. A sudden crack of static makes me spin. The store's radio, still unplugged, sputters to life behind the counter. Warped chords of that broken rock song, distorted voices singing, help me," then silence. We all freeze. Joe's hand instinctively goes to his holster. The techs exchange pale looks. I step forward, flip the radio's power switch. Dead. No power. I close my eyes, breathing slow. When I open them, Marisol is standing in the doorway, eyes hollow but alert, holding the jacket. A medic stands behind her. She nods at me. I nod back. She whispers, "He showed me the crawl space. He wanted me to find his sister." I frown. "Sister?" She points at the pile of drawings on the counter. There was a little girl. I saw her. She was playing hide and seek. She kept giggling. Joe steps beside me. "All right, let's wrap this and get you somewhere safe." We guide Marisol outside. As we pass the pump, I notice something new. Tiny handprints on the glass of the pay window, smudged, translucent, like condensation where little fingers pressed. I press my palm next to them. The glass is cold. When I pull away, the prints remain. I radio it in. The techs rush back, photographing the prints. One murmurs, "We'll lift them, but these look fresh." My stomach twists. Fresh. In a station under 24-hour surveillance, except the cameras were dead, someone small came in after the DVR was smashed. Someone we haven't found. The K9 unit's handler approaches. "Tracker dog still refuses to enter the store," he says. "Keeps barking at the crawlspace vent." I stare at the vent cover the techs are boarding up. The screws have been twisted, not by tools, but by hand. Someone crawled in and out repeatedly. I look at Joe. "She's still in there," I say. He shakes his head. "We can't risk it until structural clears it. We'll send in a camera snake." Night fully gives way to morning. The desert sun glares overhead. Forensics packs up. We clear the scene. Marisol is taken to a safe place. I step into my cruiser, heart pounding. Joe slides in beside me. As I start the engine, I glance in the rearview mirror. The little jacket lies on the back seat, empty. Marisol is gone. Not with the medics, not in the station, just vanished. My blood runs cold. I slam the door. She was right here. Joe flares the dome light. The seat is empty. The jacket remains. I press the horn. Nothing. I flick the lights. Working. The engine idles. I exhale, voice shaking. Where did she go? Joe doesn't answer. He's staring at the back window. I follow his gaze. On the dusty glass outside the station, someone has written, "Find her." No footprints, no explanation, just that message, smeared in the condensation where the little handprints were. I kill the engine. The cruiser is deathly quiet. I step out into the glaring morning. The station stands silent under the now steady canopy light. The boarded-up crawl vent gapes like a mouth. I reach for my radio, but my earpiece crackles with static. Then, faintly, a child's laughter, soft, distant, echoing from the crawl space. I freeze. The laughter stops. I step toward the boards. My hand hovers over the vent. "Marisol," I whisper. No answer, only the desert wind. I glance back at the cruiser. The little jacket lies on the seat as if waiting. I realize we never found her sister, and I'm not sure I want to know what happens if we do. I don't remember climbing into the station office, but when I come to, the air is thick with the sting of bleach and dust. My head throbs where it smacked the console. Joe's voice cuts through the haze. "Proctor, you good?" I push myself upright, blinking against the harsh fluorescent. My uniform is smeared with grime, dirt from the crawl space, and something darker I don't want to identify. "Yeah," I rasp. "Just fell." I rub my temple. The world tilts. I glance around. The boarded-up vent gapes on the floor like an open wound. The techs have gone. The rookies are gone. Even the crime scene tape is gone. The station looks operational again. Chairs reset, snack racks aligned, as if no one ever tore it apart last night. Joe crouches by the door, shining his light on the dusty floor. "You okay, man? You slipped into that crawl without backup." He glances up at the vent opening. "Structural says we're clear, but..." I follow his gaze. The vent's wooden boards are splintered outward, jagged edges gouged as if something inside clawed its way out. My gut twists. "They replaced the boards," I say, "but someone ripped them off from the inside." Joe swears softly. He stands. "Let's get you checked out. Then we find Marisol, if she's even still around." I nod and follow him out. The desert sun glares through the front windows. The station's neon open sign blinks in ironic invitation. I expect Marisol's small frame huddled by the pump, but there's nobody. My cruiser sits alone. The little girl's jacket lies draped over the passenger seat, clean now, as though laundered in the night. I reach for it, my fingers tremble, and the fabric falls through my hand, revealing something pinned inside, a yellowing Polaroid. I pull it out. The photo shows the station at night, illuminated by my cruiser's lights. In the foreground stands a little girl in a white dress, face blurred by motion. Behind her, in the same spot I crawled out, stands a tall figure in dark coveralls, the silhouette I've chased through 3 nights now. And beside him, the faint outline of a woman who looks like Marisol, eyes hauntingly empty. My heart pounds. I jam the photo into my pocket. Joe hustles me to the cruiser. "Let's roll," he says. "Dispatch wants us clear." He climbs in driver's side. I slide behind the wheel. The engine rumbles. I glance at the back seat. The jacket is gone. Only the photo remains, lying face up. I pick it up. The little girl's blurred form seems to shift as I stare. We roll onto the highway. Dust kicks up behind us. I half expect to see footprints trailing off the asphalt, but the road is empty. Back at headquarters, I'm sent to medical for evaluation. They clear me. No concussion, just exhaustion. I decline the offer to go home. Instead, I wander the bullpen, photo burning a hole in my pocket. Rookie officers give me wary looks. Rumor of last night has spread. I overhear someone whisper, "Did you hear?" Proctor's crazy, chasing ghosts. I ignore them. I slip into an interrogation room, close the door, and study the Polaroid under the harsh LED. The station looks normal, except for the figures. I zoom in on the little girl. White dress, tangled hair, tiny hand raised in a wave that looks more like a warning. And behind her, the shape in coveralls, lanky arms, featureless face. I press my thumb to the image. A smudge of white paint peels off onto my skin. I blink. The blotch on the photo wasn't there before. My radio crackles. Joe's voice. "Proctor, HQ, you need to see this." I hurry back to the dispatch center. Monitors line the wall, showing live feeds from across the county. I half expect to see our station's camera back online, but instead, the screen displays a static test pattern. Cam 07 offline. A tech swivels in his chair. "Officer Proctor," he says, voice tight. "You need to see our logs." He brings up the station's maintenance records. The back exit door was serviced yesterday, claimed a repair of a faulty latch. The vent was boarded up 2 nights ago per structural, then unboarded 3 hours later by maintenance. No record of who performed that work. I lean in. The timestamp on the vent unboarding, 4:17 a.m. Last night, Section 3 ended at exactly 4:17. The same minute Marisol vanished. My blood runs cold. I close my eyes. When I open them, the tech is pointing at another screen. Leave audio from the pump speaker. It recorded 1 minute last night, just before the rock song glitch. I hit play, a child's laughter soft and musical. Then a woman's voice, Marisol's. "Come play with me." Then the tall figure's rasping whisper, "Find us," then static. I slam my fist on the console. The room goes silent. Every eye on me. I swallow. "We need to go back," I say. "Now." At the gas station, the canopy light is burning steady. Daylight crews are replacing the pump's digital display. They glance at us curiously as we pull in, me, Joe, and a forensic tech armed with a mobile scanner. I step out and they tense, but I only flash my badge. We move to the rear. The boarded vent is intact, no new damage. I kneel by the mud prints. A fresh footprint interrupts the trail. Adult boot, size 10, tread pattern of heavy work boots. It's recent, within the hour. I look up. The station is empty. I call out, "Marisol? Little girl?" My voice cracks. Only the hum of the coffee machine inside. I step through the door. The tech sets up the scanner at the counter. It hums and pings, mapping the room in 3D. I watch the model build on his tablet. Floor, racks, mirror, boarded vent. Then a shape appears behind the snack shelf. "Got something," he murmurs. He points at the screen, a silhouette indistinct, hunched behind the shelves. I draw my weapon. "Move." I advance down the aisle. The fluorescent hum intensifies, flickers. I pass the mirror, no reflection behind me. I round the shelf, empty. I freeze. A soft giggle, close behind. I pivot, nothing. The beam catches the backroom door, closed. I approach, heart hammering. The door handle is warm. I grasp it and twist. It opens inward. I step through. The back room is silent, dusty. The boarded vent lies on the floor, splinters scattered. Footprints, adult and child, circle the room, converging at the crawlspace opening. The boards are completely removed. I swallow. The crawlspace yawns like a tunnel mouth. The air rising from it is cold, fetid. I radio Joe, voice tight. They're in there. He's at the front. I hear him shouting for backup. I shine my light into the crawlspace. The beam catches on something metallic. The remains of the DVR circuit board, and next to it, Marisol's name tag. Her ID now scratched and warped. I climb in without waiting. The tunnel is narrower this time, maybe 6 inches. I pull myself along the insulation, metal edges biting my knuckles. The light flickers, then steadies. I see scratches on the wood overhead, fresh claw marks. The air smells of rot and something sweet like decaying flowers. I emerge into a larger chamber, a hidden basement beneath the station. The beam falls on rows of old shelving, crates of supplies, and in the center a small cot. On it lies a bundle, a little girl, curled fetal, trembling. Beside her lies Marisol, unconscious, arms wrapped protectively around the child. I rush forward. Marisol! She stirs, eyes fluttering open. The girl looks up, black eyes reflecting my flashlight. She smiles. I scoop them both up. Marisol's eyes fill with tears. He said hide, she whispers. He'd come back to play. I carry them toward the ladder. Behind me, the beam catches the tall figure standing in the shadows, coveralls, featureless face tilted as if observing. I freeze, heart in my throat. The thing raises a hand, a slow, deliberate wave. I don't hesitate. I climb, Marisol and the girl scramble after me. We burst into the back room. Joe and 2 officers rush us. I set them down. The girl clings to Marisol. I shine my light back at the vent. The tall figure is gone. Marisol sobs. The girl looks at me. Thank you, she whispers, voice like wind in dry grass. I nod, heart pounding. I scoop them into the cruiser. As I close the door, I glance back at the station, the mirror above the counter. In its reflection, I see the tall shape standing behind the shelves, just for a moment, before it fades into darkness. In the front seat, the girl's jacket lies folded. I pick it up and slip it onto her shoulders. She smiles, then turns her head to stare at me. Her lips curve in a grin that isn't right, too wide, too still. Her black eyes glint. She says softly, "Will you stay and play with us?" My blood runs cold. I look to Joe. He meets my eyes, face pale. I realize we've never seen the creature move, only appear and disappear. And now, with the child in our care, we've brought it back into the light. I know this isn't over. The little girl hums that twisted melody, the broken rock song, softly as we roll away. In the rearview mirror, the station stands silent under the bright morning sun. But in the window's reflection, I see a figure standing behind us in the back seat. A tall silhouette, featureless, watching. I kill the engine. The cruiser coasts to a stop. The figure fades, the girl giggles. I realize with a jolt, we never closed the back exit door. And now, there may be more waiting on the other side. I don't know how long I stand there, engine idling, heart pounding so loud I can barely hear the girl's soft humming behind me. The morning sun glints off her jet-black eyes, and for a moment I'm certain they're reflecting something ancient and empty, before she turns away and buries her face in Marisol's shoulder. I kill the engine. The cruiser's red and blue lights wink off. Joe's hand tightens on my arm. "You good?" he whispers. I swallow. I think so. I open my door and step out onto the cracked asphalt. The girl and Marisol climb out behind me. She's pale but steady, clutching the little girl's hand. The child's other hand holds the torn edge of her jacket, as if she's afraid it might vanish. We move toward the station under the steady canopy light. The boarded-up vent gapes overhead. The back exit door stands closed, latch intact. The pumps stand silent. All is still. Too still. A tech approaches, eyes wide. "Officer Proctor, CSI found footprints leading back in after you left. Adult and child prints, same pattern as last night." She hands me a printout, photos of muddy prints on the pump island, just where the cruiser had blocked them. "They came back," she says softly. I nod, voice tight. Then they never left. Marisol crouches to look at the prints. The little girl stands beside her, pointing. "My turn," she says. and touches one print with a tiny finger. The print ripples as if the dirt is liquid. Marisol gasps and pulls her back. The girl giggles. I step forward, bending to examine the footprint. It's gone, smoothed away, as if it never existed. The only trace is the smear of dirt on my glove. I wipe it on my pant leg. Nothing remains. Joe's voice crackles in my earpiece. "Dispatch, be advised, we've got RTV from the station. The cameras just flickered back on for 30 seconds at 4:17, then died." My blood runs cold. Play it. On the technician's tablet, the feed jumps to life. 4 snowy screens, then one frame of the back room door swinging open by itself. Silhouette of a child slipping through. Then a tall, dark figure blocking the frame. Then static. I recognize the station. The angle is from the corner high by the ceiling. The little girl's white dress, the long limbs of the silhouette. Then nothing. I shut off the feed. "That's it?" I ask. The tech nods. "That's all we got?" I look at Marisol. "Did you see who else came through that door?" She shakes her head. "Only her, then him. He never spoke." We stand in silence. The desert wind rattles the canopy. A tumbleweed drifts by. The station seems to hold its breath. The little girl tugs Marisol's sleeve. "Can we go home now?" Marisol nods. "Yes, sweetheart." She picks the child up and carries her toward the cruiser. The girl presses her face to Marisol's neck and closes her eyes. I watch them, unsettled. Then I turn back to the station. The front door stands closed. I push it open. Inside, everything is immaculate. Racks straight, floor swept, counter polished. The security mirror gleams. The coffee machine gurgles on its own. The radio on the shelf crackles with static. I step inside. The air is cold. I move to the back room door. It's closed. I push it open. The back room is spotless. No footprints. No boxes disturbed. The boarded vent lies stacked neatly in the corner, screws beside it. Someone reboarded it from the inside, then cleaned up. I shine my flashlight on the floor. No sign of the crawlspace opening. The hatch is gone, sealed over completely, indistinguishable from the rest of the floor. I step back, heart thudding. The station has reset itself, erased the evidence of its hidden underbelly. A soft click behind me. I whirl. The door is shut. No wind, no mechanism. My reflection stares back at me, alone this time. I radio Joe. "Get the techs back in here. Everything's been cleaned." He answers, "On my way." I move to the clerk's booth. The security monitor is dark. I tap the screen. It flickers to life. 4 snowy feeds. I lean in. On one screen behind me, I see the tall silhouette standing in the aisle. I spin. Empty. I look at the monitor. Silhouette still there, then static. I step back as the feed cuts. My radio crackles. Joe's voice. "They're bringing in a maintenance crew to reopen the floor. Structural says it was a temporary hatch, not original. Should be able to lift it." I nod, though he can't see. "Hurry." I stand under the flickering fluorescent, alone, listening to the hum of the station electricity. My senses reel. Every hair on my neck stands on end. Then, a soft, childish giggle from the vent area. I freeze. The boards are stacked neatly, but the giggle came from there. I approach, heart in my throat. My flashlight beam rests on the top board. The wood quivers. I draw my weapon. "Come out," I shout. "Silence." Then a single board drops with a hollow thunk. I step back. The board slides aside, revealing the dark opening once more. My radio bursts. "Officer Proctor, Structural's arrived." They're lifting the hatch now. I nod, then steel myself and step closer. The board rattles. A small hand, pale, thin, slides out and grips the edge. It pulls just a little, then pauses. I swallow. "It's okay," I say gently. "We just want to help." Silence. Then the hatch lifts enough for a pair of dirt-smudged boots to appear, followed by a small, drenched dress. The little girl crawls out, gasping for air. She stands and looks up at me, eyes wide. "Play?" she asks. Before I can answer, Marisol and Joe burst in behind the maintenance crew. Marisol rushes to the girl, scooping her up. She hugs her tight, rocking her. The girl giggles and wraps the skinny arms around Marisol's neck. I exhale. The tension drains, until I notice the tall silhouette behind the maintenance techs reflected in the mirror. It stands perfectly still, watching. I raise my gun, but it vanishes into darkness the moment I blink. My radio crackles. "Proctor, do you copy?" I lower my weapon. "Copy," I say. "We've got the child, we're good." I glance down at the hatch. It's closed again, sealed perfectly. No sign it was ever opened. The maintenance foreman shrugs. "That floor's solid now, no hidden rooms." I nod. "Thanks." He moves off. Joe approaches. "You all right?" I force a smile. "We got her." I crouch and look at the hatch. That's what matters. Marisol hands the girl to me. The child stares into my eyes. Then she points at the ceiling, where the mirror shows an empty room. She whispers, "He's up there." I glance at the mirror. Nothing. I look back at the girl. "Who's up there?" She smiles that too-wide grin. "Friend." My blood runs cold. I set her down. She runs to Marisol, clinging. I stand, voice tight. "We need to leave." As we file out, I glance back at the station's interior. In the mirror, just behind the snack racks, I see the faintest shimmer of that tall figure. And beyond it, another shape crawling along the floor, heading deeper into the shadows. I blink. It's gone. Outside, the desert sun warms my face. The cruiser's lights are off. The world seems normal, innocent. I watch Marisol buckle the girl into a car seat. She waves, the girl waves back, hands small and pale against the glass. I close my eyes. When I open them, the station sign flickers, gas and go. Underneath, in peeling letters, someone has scrawled, "See you next shift." I freeze. The words weren't there before. Joe's voice, "Let's get out of here." I nod, heart pounding. I climb into the cruiser. As I pull away, I glance in the mirror one last time. The station stands silent, empty, but in the reflection the back exit door creaks open on its own. I drive on, speed low, eyes fixed on the rear view. The desert road stretches ahead, sun-bleached and endless. My radio crackles with dispatch chatter, routine calls, traffic stops, nothing about ghosts or little girls. I switch it off. Silence fills the cruiser. In the back seat, the Polaroid lies face up on the leather. I reach back and pick it up. The image has changed. Now the little girl stands beside me in the driver's seat, hand on the wheel. Her black eyes stare out from the photo, unblinking. The tall figure stands behind her, hand resting on her shoulder. I drop the photo. It drifts to the floor mat. I glance down, and the girl in the image seems closer, taller, the smile wider than before. My heart seizes. I slam on the brakes. The cruiser screeches to a halt in the middle of the highway. Cars swerve around me. Joe slams his head on the dashboard. "What the?" I point to the back seat, empty. I exhale, trembling. The jacket lies folded on the floor. I scoop it up. No Polaroid. I open the door. Desert wind gusts in, nothing else. I step out. The asphalt radiates heat. I peer into the back seat. The photo has vanished. I turn to the station in the distance, just a dot under the rising sun. The sign reads, "Gas and go." No warning, no footprints, no little girl. Then, in the sky above the station, a shape forms in the dusty haze, a silhouette tall and lean, standing beneath the canopy. Next to it, a tiny handprint appears on the pump glass, smudged in desert dust. I feel, rather than hear, a whisper in the heat. Next shift. Your shift. I swallow. The road stretches empty ahead. I climb back in. Dispatch, I say into the mic, voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. Unit 47, request immediate maintenance and full lockdown at Route 49, Gas and Go, and send child services. We've got a new missing persons case. Silence on the line, then, copy that, Unit 47, we're on it. I kill the engine again. The cruiser sits motionless. The desert wind drifts through the open door, carrying the faintest echo of a child's laughter. I close the door. The lock clicks. I drive on, knowing the station will be waiting for the next night shift, the next call, the next soul to wander into its flickering light. And I know, whatever it is, it will be hungry for company. I eased the cruiser off the highway ramp onto the cracked concrete of Lone Oak Station, the engine's rumble dying to a low hum. It was 2:07 a.m., October 28th, and the October air carried a brittle chill that seeped through the door seals. I hit the overhead lights, bathing the single pump in harsh white, and watched as the fluorescent tube flickered like a dying eye. Jenna Morales, the lone attendant, bolted from behind the counter, her face pale and drenched in sweat. "They're out back," she stammered, voice trembling. I heard scraping, like metal on metal. Her eyes darted to the rear exit, where the lock refused to stay latched. I clicked on my flashlight and stepped inside, nodding quietly. "It's okay, Jenna, I've got this." But my own heart pounded so hard I could feel it against my chest plate. The store was small, an aging coffee machine, half-empty racks of snacks, a lottery kiosk blinking red numbers. The security monitor cycled through 4 grainy views: the pump, the front door, the storage closet, and the restroom window. On the third pass, I thought I saw a shape move behind the pump, just for a flicker, then nothing but static. I rewound the feed. Just snow. I moved toward the back door. The fluorescent light above the pump buzzed overhead, rhythmically dimming. My boot clicked on the rough floor tile as I tested the door handle. It rattled in my hand, unyielding. I radioed dispatch. Unit 47 checking rear exit. No forced entry. Lock's intact but keeps popping open. The speaker crackled back. Copy that. Backup en route. Stepping outside, the beam of my flashlight stabbed into the blackness beyond the door. Dew glittered on the concrete, and the desert wind whispered through the chain-link fence. No movement, but the far pump's light flickered again. I trained the light there, nothing but the rust-stained metal and the cracked hose nozzle hanging limp. Then I noticed the van. Parked 10 yards from the pump, engine cold, but its headlights burned the asphalt. No plates glinted under the beam, no driver in sight. I approached cautiously, hand on holster. The headlight glow pooled on the cracked glass of the station's restroom. In that sheen, I saw a face, pale, expressionless, pressed for a heartbeat against the fogged window, then gone. My breath caught. I turned and pounded on the restroom door. "Occupant, police, open up." Silence. Only my radio sputtered in the pocket of my jacket, playing back the faint squeal of static like broken music. Jenna's scream echoed from inside the store. I spun back. She was gone. My radio sparked to life with something else. An old country ballad, slowed and warped, drifting through the static. It wasn't dispatch. It wasn't music from the store's speakers. It was inside my head. I flicked the volume switch. Silence. Then that mournful melody returned, looped and underwater. I lunged for the back door again. It swung open on its own, creaking like a coffin lid. I slipped inside, flashlight raised. The storage closet lay ahead, dark. My boots crunched on something metal, one of the station's security cameras, lens cracked, wires splayed like entrails. I reached down. The moment my fingers brushed it, the melody cut out, replaced by a voice so soft I almost missed it. "Thank you for coming." I snapped the beam around. No one, just stacked cardboard boxes and the stale smell of spilled motor oil. My pulse hammered. I called into the darkness, voice steadier than I felt. "Show yourself." Nothing answered but the thrum of the overhead light, still flickering. A loud click behind me. I whirled, flashlight slicing through gloom, but the door had swung shut. I yanked at it. It held fast. My radio handset slipped from my pocket, rolling across the floor with a hollow clatter. I dropped to one knee, heart slamming, and grabbed it. "Dispatch, Unit 47. Static. Then my own breathing, loud in the earpiece. I kicked at the door. "Let me out!" The closet seemed to stretch, lengthening in the beam. The shadows had its edges dancing. My flashlight flickered. I pounded with my shoulder. "Back up!" The voice came again, right behind me. A whisper, ice cold. "You shouldn't have left the road." I spun, but nothing there. The beam landed on the camera's broken lens, reflecting my own wide-eyed stare. Then, in the corner of the closet, something shifted. A silhouette recoiled into darkness. I blinked. It was gone. Silence fell. I leaned against the door, chest heaving. My hand closed around the cold metal handle, and I wrenched it open. I stumbled out into the store, adrenaline burning my lungs. The front door burst open as I sprinted to my cruiser. Jenna crouched behind the pump, hands over her mouth. She pointed at the restroom window. The glass was cracked, a spiderweb of fractures radiating from a central point. I jumped in, locked the doors. The engine roared to life. My radio sputtered. "Unit 47, you there?" I keyed the mic. "Get me dispatch. Get me every unit in a 10-mile radius. Now." The country ballad began again, crackling through the speakers. I shut it off, but in the reflection of the rearview mirror I saw movement in the back seat, barely a shadow, hunched forward, eyes glinting. I slammed the cruiser into gear and peeled out. I didn't stop for backup. I didn't look back at the station as it receded in my headlights. The road ahead was empty highway, black ribbon through nothing. My stomach churned. I'd responded to calls before, but never one like this. Never with that sense of being watched from the darkness within my own car. By the time I reached the edge of town, my hands ached on the wheel. The ballad started again, slow, mournful, on the radio. I flicked every switch. Silence. I hit the brakes, heart slamming, and the car coasted to a stop under a single street lamp. I turned in my seat. The back seat was empty. I exhaled, a laugh trembling on my lips. Relief, maybe. But the street lamp flickered and died, plunging me into darkness. And then the whisper came over the static of my radio, so close I felt it on my neck. "See you soon." I eased the cruiser back onto the shoulder of State Route 94 and killed the engine. But the world outside stayed alive with low static from the radio and the hum of the idling headlights. I sat there a moment, chest heaving, trying to convince myself that the back seat was empty, that the whisper over the speaker had been nothing more than my frayed nerves. Behind me, the lone gas pump light flickered through the rear window, like a heartbeat against the dark. I reached up and flipped the radio power off. The sudden silence pressed in, heavier than the October night air. My boots scuffed on the carpet as I climbed out, door snapping shut behind me. I couldn't leave it, couldn't stop until I knew whether someone, or something, had really been in my back seat. The air was cold enough to sting my lungs. I circled the cruiser, flashlight in hand. The rear door handle gleamed under the beam. I tested it. Locked. I clicked the fob. Locks cycled. I tried again from inside, still locked. Whoever had been there had vanished without so much as a footprint on the asphalt. I crouched to peer through the rear window. The seat fabric looked undisturbed, though the floor mat was slightly shifted, as if pressed by a weight and then released. My breath fogged the glass. I tapped once. Nothing. I stood and turned to the station, its neon sign humming. No movement in the store windows. Backup was supposed to be here by now. I keyed the mic. Unit 47 to dispatch. Status? Only static. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Dispatch. Finally. I answered. Unit 47. Lieutenant Sanders here, came the clipped voice. We got your call. You all right? Fine, I lied. Vehicle secure. No sign of... I hesitated. No sign of anything. I think I'm clear. There was a pause. We'll sweep the station. You want us to pick you up? I glanced back at the pump. Negative. I'm going back in. I need to clear the place. Be careful, Sanders said. Unit 12 is 5 minutes out. I clicked off and slid the phone back. The door to the station groaned in the wind. I approached, every instinct screaming. The front glass door was locked now. Jenna must have secured it behind me. I knocked sharply. No answer. I tried the handle. Again, locked. I lifted my flashlight to the panel beside the door. The keypad's light was dead. I circled to the side entrance. The same padlock hung on the hasp, welded shut. No sign of forced entry. Someone had a key or had opened it from the inside. I raised my voice. This is State Patrol. Open up. My words echoed into the interior, swallowed by darkness. I pressed my face to the glass. The convenience store lay in shadows. The racks of chips and candy stood motionless. The coffee machine's clock read 12:00. Power must have flickered. My reflection wavered in the glass. I saw someone behind me. Jenna pressed against the wall, eyes wide. She mouthed, "He's inside." I sighed and slid to one knee, dropping my flashlight beam through the gap under the door. I saw the floor, dust motes drifting, no footprints except mine. I fitted my shoulder under the door and shoved. The door gave an inch, then stuck. I gave it another shove. It cracked open, and I tumbled inside, gun drawn. "State Patrol," I barked. "Show yourself." Silence. The stale smell of coffee grounds and motor oil. The fluorescent light overhead buzzed and flickered. I trained the beam across the store, shelves, counter, lottery terminal. No Jenna, no figure. My boots clicked on tile as I advanced toward the back door. Halfway there, the radio on the counter crackled. I snapped my head around. The speaker spat, static, then that warped country melody. Slow, mournful. My finger tightened on the trigger. The speaker clicked off. I kicked the counter. Chips cascaded to the floor like brittle raindrops. I reached the back door. The same dragging click as before. I twisted the handle and slipped through into the storage closet corridor. My light cut a swath through metal shelving. Boxes of windshield wiper fluid, cases of oil, cleaning rags piled in wire bins. The door slammed shut behind me. I whirled. My flashlight beam landed on fresh scratches along the wall, long, jagged gouges in the drywall. They hadn't been there before. I knelt to inspect. The edges were sharp, as if scraped by metal claws. My pulse spiked. I radioed, voice low. "Lieutenant, I've got scratches, possible forced entry inside. Send Unit 12 now." Static, no answer. The overhead light pulsed once, then died. Total darkness, save the thin circle of my flashlight. The closet corridor seemed to stretch, the beam's edge flickering as if the walls themselves were breathing. I stepped forward, each footfall echoing. A soft metallic clink sounded at the far end, something small rolling on concrete. I edged closer. The beam caught a wrench lying in the dust. Next to it, a smear of dark liquid, oil or something darker. My stomach twisted. I heard a whisper behind me, soft, urgent, unintelligible. I spun, flashlight whipping. Nothing, just the wrench and the smear. I pocketed the wrench and moved on. At the end of the corridor was the office door, ajar. Yellow light spilled out. I approached, hand on holster. Inside, the small office was empty. Desk overturned, papers scattered. The computer monitor glowed with static. The chair lay on its side. I swept the beam across the floor, muddy footprints leading out through the door. I stepped through. The main store area was deserted, silent. I radioed again. Unit 47, confirm status. I'm clear. The radio exploded with static, then a woman's voice. Officer, over here. It was Jenna, crouched behind the counter. Relief hit me like a physical force. I holstered and hurried to her. She pointed at the monitor. On the screen, the security feed had returned, the pump area. A figure stood beneath the flickering light, tall, featureless, head tilted. Then it turned, and the camera feed cut out again. I swallowed. Did you lock up behind me? I asked. She shook. I thought I heard you inside. Then the door slammed. I tried the front, then the side. It was locked. I nodded. Stay here. I raised my flashlight and stepped toward the exit. The moment I crossed the threshold, the door slammed shut with a deafening bang. Jenna screamed. I banged on the door. Hold on, I shouted. I jacked my shoulder into it. It didn't budge. Then the whisper, louder this time, right behind me. You can't leave. I whirled. Empty lot through the glass. Headlights on my cruiser in the distance. I twisted the handle. Locked. I slammed my fist. Pain flared. The whisper came again. Stay. I braced myself and kicked. The glass cracked around the frame. I jumped back as it splintered inward. I slid through the jagged opening, cutting my arm on the shards, adrenaline stinging the wounds. I landed on the concrete, bleeding, heart racing. I sprinted to my cruiser, ignoring the pain. The back seat was empty. I yanked the door open, tossed my radio in, and fired the engine. The world blurred as I peeled away, tires squealing. Behind me, the station light flickered one last time and went out. When I hit the highway, I called it in. Unit 47, leaving the scene. Suspect unknown. Vehicle intact. Need tow for cruiser repairs and medical. Dispatch replied, copy that. All units clear, we'll follow up. I drove on, blood on my sleeve, breathing hard. The road stretched empty. My headlights carved a path through the night. The static country ballad never returned. Only silence and the memory of that whisper. You can't leave. I coasted onto the black ribbon of State Route 94. Headlights carving a narrow tunnel through the desert night. My cruiser's engine idled with a soft growl. The road behind me was empty, save for the dark silhouette of Lone Oak Station disappearing in my rearview mirror. My arm throbbed where I'd cut it on the broken glass. Bright blood soaking the sleeve of my uniform. Each bump in the asphalt sent a jolt through my shoulder. A reminder that I was still out here, still moving, still alive. I switched off the radio and opened the window an inch. The cold wind rushed in, carrying the scent of dust and sagebrush. I closed my eyes and let it hit me. The snapping door, Jenna's scream, that whisper curling around my spine. You can't leave. Adrenaline still pulsed in my veins, but the wound's burn brought me back to reality. I eased the cruiser onto the shoulder, cut the engine, and stepped out into the night. The moon rode low, a pale disk hanging just above the horizon. I took a deep breath, tasting blood and dust. My flashlight lay on the passenger seat. I grabbed it and clicked it on. The beam sliced through the darkness, illuminating the guardrail and the cracked pavement. I glanced at my phone. Backup was 10 minutes out. I had time, just enough to go back. I walked toward the station, each step measured. My boot heels echoed on the pavement. Behind me, the cruiser's lights glowed. Ahead, the station's lone pump light was extinguished, swallowed by shadows. I paused at the edge of the lot. The desert wind was silent now. Even the tumbleweed lay still. I crossed under the flickering neon sign that read, Lone Oak Station. The front door stood shattered from my kick, jagged glass on the ground. I picked my way across it, careful not to cut my other foot. Inside, the store was dark, the aisles empty. The overhead fluorescent tubes were dead, leaving only the glow of the emergency exit sign. My flashlight beam revealed the counter first. Chips spilled, the register ajar. I moved on, boots clicking on tile, toward the back hallway. The storage closet door hung open, as if inviting me in. I hesitated only a second before slipping inside. Behind me, the door clicked shut. Total darkness, save my flashlight's circle. I swept the beam across stacked boxes and cans of oil. The air was thick, like breathing through a damp cloth. I felt the walls close in. Then I saw it. Footprints in the dust, leading deeper into the closet corridor. They were small, narrow. Too small for Jenna, too small for me. The edges were sharp, as if dragged. I knelt and inspected. The dust had been disturbed recently. The prints ended at a seam in the concrete. Beyond that seam, the floor looked clean. I stood, heart hammering, and followed the prints to the seam. I shone the light past it, and my breath froze. The corridor continued, but the shelving had vanished. In its place was a low archway of concrete, black as obsidian. The footprints led right through it. My rational mind screamed to turn back. Procedurally, I should wait for backup, but the wound in my arm burned, and something deeper, curiosity, dread, duty, drew me forward. I stepped through the arch. Instantly, the air changed. The smell of dust and oil vanished, replaced by cold damp and something metallic, like blood on steel. I raised my flashlight higher. The beam revealed rough stone walls, seams filled with mortar. This wasn't part of the station. This was something older, hidden beneath it. I clicked the radio mic. Lieutenant, I'm in a subterranean corridor beneath the station. Repeat, subterranean corridor. Send thermal cams. Static answered. I keyed again, nothing. I moved forward. Each step echoed. The corridor sloped downward at a gentle grade. The beam caught dripping water from the ceiling, tiny rivulets that pooled at my boots. My wound stung in the cold. I swallowed. My breath made small clouds. After 20 feet, I saw a door set into the stone wall. A heavy metal hatch, riveted and rusted. It had no handle, only a small barred window near the top. Through that window, I glimpsed darkness and movement. A shape shifting just out of clear view. I pressed my face to the hatch window. The shape coalesced. A pale hand, long fingers draped in grime, gripping the inside of the hatch. I staggered back, heart in my throat. The hatch rattled as if someone, or something, pounded from the other side. I twisted and ran back the way I came. My flashlight flickered. Half the beam went out, leaving me with a narrow cone of light. Panic clawed at my chest. I forced myself to breathe evenly. I couldn't let fear take over. I reached the archway and scrambled back into the closet corridor. The shelving reappeared, dust motes dancing in the beam. I pounded on the hatch behind me. "Let me out. Lieutenant, do you copy?" Silence. Footsteps, soft, scraping, emerged from deeper in the closet. I swung the flashlight. Nothing. The beam landed on the wrench I'd pocketed. I blinked. Behind me, the wrench rolled across the floor toward the archway. I backed away. The arch darkened, as if absorbing the light. A low rumble vibrated through the concrete. My radio crackled to life. "Unit 47, backup is here." "Are you okay?" It was Sanders. "Lieutenant, I found a hatch and..." I swallowed. "Something down here." "Stay put, we're coming in." I heard the sound of boots on tile above, then the closet door swung open, flooding the corridor with light. 2 patrol cars' spotlights pierced the gloom. Officers crouched at the entrance, rifles drawn. "On me," I said, voice shaking. We moved toward the hatch. They circled, searching for a handle. One officer pried at the edges. The metal groaned. They lifted it enough to slip in a pry bar, then forced it open. The hatch swung upward with a screech. A blast of stale air escaped, carrying the odor of rot. They shone their lights down into the darkness. A shaft leading deeper, disappearing into black. A ladder bolted to the wall. Below, water pooled. The beam picked out shapes on the floor. Scraps of torn fabric, a broken badge insignia, and, something else, bones. I swallowed hard. Holy! They shone their lights on the bones. Small, bleached fragments. Human, but childlike in size. An officer stifled a gasp. The ladder rattled under their weight as they climbed down. I stayed at the top, heart pounding. The hatch slammed shut behind them, leaving me alone with the wrench and the smear of blood on my sleeve. The only sound was my breathing, and the faint drip of water from below. I put a hand on the hatch frame. "What the hell is down there?" I whispered. No answer but the drip. Finally, the hatch creaked open. Sanders climbed out, face pale. Behind him, the other officers looked shaken. One held up a flashlight to show me. More bones, piled in the corner of a rough stone chamber. "We found a room," Sanders said. "Looks like a makeshift cell, old, but not ancient. Could be 10, maybe 20 years old. Someone kept something, or someone, down there." He glanced at me. "You all right, son?" I nodded, numbly. My wound throbbed. The wrench slipped from my hand and clanged on the tile. I realized I was gripping it so hard my knuckles hurt. "We're sealing this off," Sanders continued. "Crime scene units en route. You did good calling it in." I forced a smile. "Just doing my job." He put a hand on my shoulder. "Let's get you patched up." As they led me back through the closet and into the station's main floor, I glanced once more at the hatch. The ladder was gone, retracted, swallowed by the darkness. The hatch lay closed, innocuous, as if it had never opened. They guided me outside. Backup cruisers roared in, lights spinning. Jenna watched from a safe distance, wrapped in a blanket. She caught my eye and gave a small nod. I climbed into the front passenger seat of a patrol SUV. Sanders climbed in beside me. He turned on the radio. Silence. Then, faintly, through the static, came that warped country ballad. We both froze. Sanders killed the radio. The silence returned. He looked at me, eyes haunted. "You hear that?" I swallowed. "Yes." He nodded slowly. "Some call. They follow you." I closed my eyes as the SUV pulled away. Behind us, Lone Oak Station stood under the desert sky, its pump light dead. The hatch was sealed, for now, but I knew it wouldn't stay buried, because some things you uncover at 2:07 a.m. you can never unhear. The harsh overhead floodlight of the SUV's interior snapped off as Sanders cut the engine, leaving only the glow of his dashboard gauges. I stepped into the chill desert air, the wound in my arm throbbing with each heartbeat. Behind me, the SEAL team moved around the station, fencing off the pump area and dropping crime scene tape across the front door. Jenna stood beside her patrol car, wrapped in a foil blanket, eyes red but determined. "Everything's sealed," Sanders said, voice low. "They'll process at first light." He glanced back at the station. "You ready for the last look?" I nodded. The wind stirred dust across the cracked concrete. My boots scuffed as we approached the pump island. The single light overhead flickered once, then steadied. In its glare, I spotted the wrench lying where I'd dropped it, rusted, smeared with dark streaks that might have been oil or blood. I kicked it halfway under the pump. "Anything else?" I asked Sanders. He shook his head. "Nothing living. Bones in that hatch below. Officially, you discovered an old hidden cell beneath the station. Unofficially..." He paused, eyes thoughtful. "That whisper. You can't leave. We'll chalk that up to stress. Report will say you locked yourself in the closet, smashed the door, then found the hatch." I clenched my jaw. The official version would never match what I'd felt in my bones. "And the van?" Sanders frowned. "No plates, no driver, towed it. Forensics will check prints, but I wouldn't hold my breath." The wind sighed through the chain-link fence. The desert beyond lay empty. I swallowed. "I want off this shift," I said. "I'm done with 2 to 6. He nodded. "Call it in tomorrow. You've earned it." I turned my gaze to the station's rear exit. The door was locked, silent. No scraping, no whisper. Just darkness beyond. "Think anyone's left anything down there recently?" I asked. Sanders exhaled. "Hard to say. Bones look old. Could be squatters, cult, who knows? That tunnel may run farther than we saw." My flashlight beam wavered as I imagined the shaft descending into black earth. The station above felt fragile, like a cracked shell over something ancient. A sudden clang made me jump. The wrench slid from under the pump, rolling into the shadows. I knelt and picked it up. Embedded in its head was a small key, rusted, ornate, far too delicate for a tool. I held it out. "Did you see this?" Sanders stepped closer. His flashlight revealed the key's shape. A tiny skeleton key, boo, carved like a gnarled tree. He frowned. "Where'd that come from?" "Was under the pump," I said. "I didn't notice it before." He glanced toward the station, then back at me. Maybe it belongs to that hatch." My heart slammed. The hatch was sealed, but the key fit no lock I'd seen. Still, the idea planted itself like a seed. What if that key opened something deeper? Something we hadn't uncovered? Sanders cleared his throat. "We should log it as evidence." I slipped the wrench and key into an evidence bag. As I sealed it, the station's pump light flickered again, once, twice, and went dark. The night swallowed the lot. Sanders turned to go. "Let's get you patched up." I paused. "One more thing." He looked back. "Yeah?" I pointed at the station's roofline. "Did you check up there?" He frowned. "Roof? Why?" "Shingles above the storage closet. When I was inside, I heard tapping, like someone walking on metal. Could have been the hatch shifting, but it sounded overhead." Sanders considered. "No one went up there. We'll send someone tomorrow." I nodded. "Make it first light." He clapped me on the shoulder. "You good?" I managed a tight smile. "I will be." As he walked away, I stared at the roof. The dark silhouette of the station seemed to slope toward me, its edges blurred by moonlight. I pictured someone, something, moving above or slipping quietly back into the desert. I slid the key into my pocket. The cold metal pressed against my hip, a promise of unanswered questions. Behind me, the sealed hatch lay hidden beneath concrete and shelving. Ahead, the highway stretched empty. Somewhere between them was the choice: leave it buried or pry it open once more. I closed my eyes and listened. The night was silent, too silent. Then, faintly, the soft scrape of metal on metal. I opened my eyes. The station stood empty. The desert wind stirred, and in that stillness I realized the story was far from over. The desert night had settled into an almost spiritual stillness, as if the world were holding its breath. I stood at the edge of the station's fenced lot, the key burning cold in my pocket, wrench in hand, blood still seeping through the sleeve of my shirt. The distant hum of State Route 94 was the only reminder that civilization lay just beyond this island of shadows. The other officers had left. Sanders had driven me to the station for stitches, then nodded off behind his desk, exhausted. Jenna had gone home under escort. I was alone, drawn back by a force I couldn't name. I glanced up at the roofline. The moon rode low, silvering the corrugated metal panels. My flashlight beam wavered as I climbed onto the pump platform, stepping carefully over shards of broken glass. The edge of the roof was just within reach if I rose on tiptoe. I dropped the wrench and hauled myself up, scraping my palms on rough metal. The world dropped away beneath me. A pool of empty black, the station's yellow neon sign flickering in the distance. I stood unsteadily, chest tight, and ran my hand along the seam where two panels overlapped. There, fresh scuff marks, like someone had crawled across recently. A half-hidden panel lay slightly ajar. My pulse thundered. I fished the skeleton key from my pocket. The key's bow was cold, intricate, a twisted tree. I slid it into a small latch at the corner of the panel. It clicked. The panel shifted under my weight. A narrow crawl space yawned before me, just big enough for me to squeeze through. Darkness beyond. My flashlight lay below. I dropped 1 foot onto the roof, fished out the wrench, then wedged the wrench handle into the gap to prop it open. I swung one leg through, then the other, and lay prone on a ridge beam, heart hammering in my ears. The crawlspace was claustrophobic. Metal ribs overhead, insulation dust drifting in motes. Each breath tasted of rust and old oil. I inched forward on my belly, arms pulling me along the jagged beam. Below, I heard the faint drip of water, the distant echo of my own breathing. The beam shifted under me. I froze. The distant, low rumble of traffic was muffled here, just the sound of my heartbeat. After 10 feet, I reached a small opening in the roof of the storage closet below. Through the mesh, I saw the concrete hatch cover I'd left sealed. The edges were cracked, fine fractures, radiating outward. The hatch lay flush with the ceiling, as if breathing. I pressed my hand to the mesh and peered down. The closet floor was empty now, save for the wrench I'd dropped earlier. The shadows pooled as if alive. I gave myself a moment. My arm throbbed. I tasted copper in my mouth. I gripped the key in my fist and whispered, "Just one more look." I slid forward another foot. The metal beam groaned. A bolt above me rattled loose and dropped, clanging on the hatch cover. I startled, heart lodged in my throat. Then, movement below. A silent shift of darkness. I pressed my face to the mesh. Something stirred in the closet, a shape, indistinct, hunched and turning. It paused beneath the hatch, as if sensing me. I froze. My bones seemed to shake. A low, rasping sound. Metal on metal. The hatch cover sliding just enough to create a narrow gap. A single finger, long and pale, pushed through. The finger twitched, then curled around the edge of the opening. I knew in that instant this was not human. The bone, too slender, the knuckle too pronounced. The thing paused, then pushed the hatch fully open from below. I scrambled backward as the beam of my flashlight caught the roof's interior. The closet hatch lifted, spilling a sliver of yellow light into the crawlspace. The shape emerged, a gaunt silhouette, spindly limbs folded like a praying mantis, skin the color of old parchment. Its head lolled, as if listening. 2 dark pits where eyes should be. It tilted its head, sensing me. I felt its focus, an intelligence both alien and hungry. I scrambled toward the panel, wrench in one hand, key in the other. The thing slid through the hatch like liquid shadow, landing on the closet floor with silent grace. Its limbs unfolded. It looked up. Its mouth, if it could be called that, opened in a grin too wide, too jagged. Thin, cracked lips peeled back to reveal rows of needle-like teeth. A high hiss escaped its throat. My flashlight slipped and clattered to the concrete below, plunging me into darkness. My heart thundered. I jammed the wrench into the panel latch, pushed with every ounce of strength. Metal bent. The panel resisted, then gave way. I tumbled out onto the roof, lungs burning, wrench slipping from my grasp. I scrambled through the opening, legs flailing, and rolled onto the pump platform. The creature followed, its form fluid, ungainly, gliding between pools of light. It climbed the pump island, silent, moving faster than seemed possible. I leapt for the cruiser door, yanking it open. The engine roared as I shoved inside. My hands fumbled the ignition. The beast slammed against the window with a crack that rattled the glass. I jammed the car into gear and fishtailed off the lot, tires screeching. The creature clung to the roof for a heartbeat, then let go, dropping into the sand with a soft thud. I didn't look back. I barreled down the highway, heart threatening to burst. Behind me, Lone Oak Station shrank in the mirror, dark and silent. The pump light winked out. The creature was gone. Or so I hoped. In the passenger seat lay the skeleton key, gleaming silver under the dome light. I picked it up, turning it over in my palm. The bow's twisted tree carving seemed to writhe. I knew I should toss it out the window, leave it to some storm drain, forget this nightmare, but the key felt alive, a promise of answers. Ahead, the highway cut through the desert like an artery of light. The radio lay silent. I closed my eyes for a moment, chest heaving. When I opened them, the key had vanished from my hand. I stared at the empty seat. My pulse thundered. I glanced in the rearview mirror. The back seat was empty, no sign of the creature. But in the dark reflection of the rear windshield, I saw a shape standing in the bed of my pickup. A silhouette with those hollow eyes grinning wide. It was there, watching. Then it faded into the black. My knuckles whitened on the steering wheel, the road stretched on. The desert wind whispered through the open window. The chill air carried a faint metallic scent, like blood, like rust. And somewhere, under the cracked concrete of Lone Oak Station, the hatch lay open once more. What still waits beneath? I eased the cruiser onto the gravel lot, cut the engine, and sat for a long moment in the dark. The only illumination came from the blinking "open" sign swinging in the night breeze and the flicker of a single overhead canopy light. I checked my watch, 2:17 a.m. October air in southern New Jersey was crisp this close to the river. My breath fogged the windshield as I tapped the mic. Dispatch, Unit 4823, on scene at Lone Pine Service. Rear entry unsecured, no visual on any subjects. Static hissed back. No response. I stepped out, boots crunching, and let the door click shut behind me. The building was small, one pump island, a narrow concrete pad, then nothing but empty blacktop melting into fields. Beyond that, the highway's rumble was distant, muffled. The station attendant's booth stood under the canopy, windows smeared with grime, like dirty glasses fogged from long disuse. I swept my flashlight across the facade. Faded logos, rust spots, a dented trash can. Inside, yellow fluorescent tubes buzzed and died in quick succession. I approached the back door, its latch hung open, the bolt withdrawn. My pulse skipped. Whoever made that 911 call had come through here, or someone, or something. Pistol drawn, I slipped inside. The overhead light sputtered. The counter was littered. Half-empty coffee cups, day-old newspapers, a dusty candy rack. The ancient drip coffee machine ticked like a slow metronome. I checked the register drawer. It was empty. No cash, no sign of struggle. The security monitor on the wall caught my eye. 5 tiny screens, each a grainy black and white feed. Pump 1, Pump 2, the parking area, the back lot, the interior. On Pump 1's feed, a pale smear of light. Then nothing, static. "Ma'am, sir?" I called, voice low. The air smelled of stale coffee and cleaning solvent. I edged toward the interior door leading to the storage closet, where the radio microphone lay coiled on the floor. I picked it up. The moment I keyed the mic, a burst of broken music, old country warbling, rattled through the speaker. I jumped, nearly dropping it. The radio crackled. 911. A woman's voice, distant, terrified. Then silence. I moved to the window overlooking the pumps. My flashlight beam trembled on the glass. Outside, shadows pooled around the pump island. I wiped at the glass. Rain had left the streaks. For a heartbeat, I thought I saw someone hunched there, shoulders shaking. When I blinked, nothing. The concrete was empty. I exhaled, fogging the pain, and leaned my forehead against the cool surface. My reflection wavered, and behind it was something else. A dark outline, head tilted. I spun. The booth was empty. Then the door behind me clicked shut. My heart hammered. I swung around, pistol up. The door's handle didn't turn, locked from the outside. I tested it. No give. My flashlight beam danced across the walls, catching jars of oil additives, stacks of paper cups, a broom in the corner. No windows to the back room. Only that one door. I rapped on it with my flashlight. "Officer Calloway, let me out." My voice sounded small. The only reply was the coffee machine's tick and the faint squeal of the fluorescent above. I retraced my steps to the front door. The lock turned, but when I pulled, it groaned and held. I pressed my weight against it. The glass rattled. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the canopy. I stepped back, shining my light across the lot. The beam caught something reflective near the pump, like a license plate. I swallowed. I should radio backup. Instead, I keyed the mic again. Nothing but static. Behind me, the security monitor flickered to life on its own. The feed showed the closet door, closed. Then, inch by inch, it began to open. My breath caught. I dashed to the console, trying to switch the camera view, but the screens jumped to snow. I lunged for the light switch. Nothing. Total black and white static. The booth grew colder. My breath came faster. The radio crackled once more. "Help me!" The voice quavered, then cut out. I backed into the storage closet, heart slamming. Shelves of oil cans loomed. I fumbled for pepper spray on my belt. The closet door swung open behind me. I snapped around, canister raised. No one there. Just the dim glow from the front window. My boots scraped the linoleum as I stumbled out. Pepper spray hissing in the stale air. The attendant's back door clicked again, this time locking. I lurched toward it, yanking the handle. It stayed shut. Panic rose like bile. I jammed my shoulder into the door. The latch scraped, then a soft exhale behind me. I spun, hearing my own ragged breathing echo. The booth was empty, yet the air felt crowded, like someone pressed close to my back. My flashlight beam landed on the security mirror above the register. I saw myself, and, in the corner of the mirror, a shape. Pale, featureless, leaning forward. I fired a warning shot into the ceiling, the report deafening in the confined space. Dust drifted down. Silence. My ears rang. I risked a glance at the mirror. Empty. I pressed my hand to my chest, feeling the pulse throbbing. The silence outside was impossible. No highway noise, no insects, nothing but the hum of that failing fluorescent. Then the back door clicked open. I didn't hesitate. I bolted through it, tumbling onto the gravel. I lay there gasping as the cool night air hit my face. My flashlight rolled away, beam slicing through the darkness. I crawled toward it, heart slamming, then scrambled to my feet and sprinted for the cruiser. Lights on, engine roaring, I peeled out onto the highway. In my rearview mirror, the station receded, canopy light flickering once, twice, then dying. For a moment, I thought I saw a figure standing under the pump watching me leave. Then night swallowed it whole. When I radioed dispatch, my voice was shaking. Unit 4823, I'm clear. No sign of anyone. Station's empty. They asked for details. I glanced again at the dark horizon. Requesting a different assignment, I said finally. Anything but another service station call. I step out onto the gravel pad, heart still hammering, and flip on my overhead cruiser lights for the first time. Red and blue flood the empty lot, painting the single pump and attendant booth in harsh color. My boots crunch as I approach, pistol drawn, every sense screaming that something's wrong. The air is cold, too cold for October, and carries a faint metallic tang. I tap the mic. Dispatch Unit 4823. I'm entering the service booth now. And the click of my words disappears into static. Pushing through the front door, I'm hit by that sickly sweet smell of old coffee and mildew. The fluorescent tube overhead buzzes and flickers, casting jittery shadows across the counter. A half-empty styrofoam cup sits beside the register, its contents congealed. The security monitor array glows dimly. 5 feeds, each one grainy and gray. Pump 1 shows nothing but empty concrete. Pump 2 is the same. The back lot camera wobbles between static and a dark shape that vanishes when I blink. I step closer. Static swirls. Then the image cuts out entirely. My radio crackles with distant voices I can't quite make out, then falls silent. I sweep the beam of my flashlight along the shelving behind the counter. Energy drinks, candy bars, a dusty rack of prepackaged sandwiches. Everything looks untouched, like the attendant just stepped away for a minute. On the floor, I spot scuff marks leading toward the storage door. I follow them, black smudges on the pale linoleum, and arrive at the back door. The latch is closed. I test it. Solid. Whoever came in went out this way or remains trapped inside. I key the mic again. Dispatch, backup request, possible trespasser inside, no visual. My voice trembles. There's no answer. I squeeze through the door into the storage room. Shelves of oil cans, cleaning supplies, a single flickering bulb overhead. The beam catches something on the floor. A radio mic, its cord coiled like a snake. I reach for it, and the moment my fingers brush the plastic, the bulb overhead pops, plunging me into darkness. My flashlight beam jerks wildly as I spin. In the black, I hear a soft scraping, metal on concrete, somewhere to my left. I fire off a warning. Police, show yourself. My words echo. The scraping stops. Silence so thick I can taste it. Then a whisper in my earpiece. Help. Me. It's faint, distant, broken by static. I press the PTT button. Who is this? Identify. Nothing but static. I back out into the booth, heart slamming. The front door handle rattles. I whirl, pistol raised, and see the door slowly swinging inward, as if pushed by an unseen hand. My breath catches. I step forward, and the door creaks to a stop. No one stands there. Outside, the canopy light flickers. In that flicker, I could swear I saw a silhouette at the pump, tall, head tilted, motionless. But when the light steadies, it's empty. My radio crackles again, this time with that warped country tune, tinny and distorted. The melody cuts in and out. I'm so lonely without you. The words loop like a broken record. It makes my skin crawl. I kill the radio power. Silence returns. I should call this in, should get out. But something pins me in place. Duty, curiosity, fear, maybe all three. I sweep the flashlight back to the security monitors. They flare on by themselves. Pump 1, empty. Backlot, static. Interior, the closet door, standing open a crack. I didn't leave it that way. My pulse rockets. I move in slow motion, each a step loud in my ears. The closet door creaks wider. I raise my flashlight. The beam slices into the dark interior. Nothing. Then flicker, movement at the far end. A shape crouched among boxes, featureless, pale. I step forward. Come out with your hands up, I bark. No response. The shape dissolves into shadow. I step inside. My flashlight illuminates an oil-stained floor and a bundle of cleaning rags. My boot nudges something soft. I look down, a single white glove smeared with dirt. I pick it up, no other sign of a person. My breath hitches. Suddenly, the back door behind me slams shut. I spin, dropping the glove. The handle rattles. I run to it, yanking, locked. Panic surges. I pound the door with my shoulder. The latch clicks, unlocks, but I hesitate. Something thrums in the air, a low vibration that makes the hairs on my neck stand up. I bolt out, bursting into the night. Gravel sprays under my boots as I race toward the cruiser. My flashlight beam skips over the asphalt, catching a dark shape at the pump. I freeze. The figure stands perfectly still beneath the canopy. I strain to see. No features, just a silhouette. Then it turns its head, and for a moment its face is illuminated, blank, pale, eyes too dark. My spine seizes. I sprint the last dozen feet, yanked into the cruiser, slam the door, and lock it. Engine roars to life. Red and blue lights strobe across the empty lot. I throw it in drive and peel away, eyes locked on the rearview mirror. The booth light flickers twice, then goes out. The pump silhouette remains motionless, watching me leave. I radio dispatch as I hit the highway. Unit 4823 leaving scene. No sign of any subject. Requesting new assignment. My voice is hollow. Behind me, the station disappears into darkness, but I know it's still there, waiting. I jam the cruiser into park and kill the engine, but I don't move. My chest heaves. Outside, the lot is impossibly silent. I glance at the digital clock. 2:36 a.m. 19 minutes since I first arrived. 19 minutes of hell. I force myself out, radio still keyed under my thumb. Dispatch, My voice cracks. No answer. I step to the pump island. The silhouette is gone. Gravel crunches under my boots as I circle the pump. Nothing. No glove, no footprints. No sign anyone was ever here. Except the lingering buzz of that dying fluorescent. I walk back to the booth. The front door stands slightly ajar. I didn't leave it open. Heart banging, I push in. The security monitors are dark. The radio mic lies on the floor where I dropped it. I pick it up. Static. I tap the PTT. Dispatch. Backup required. Static swallows me. I drop the mic. A soft scraping from above makes me look up. The ceiling panel over the register is cracked. Dust drifts down. I step onto the counter stool, reach up, and the panel shifts. A pair of pale eyes stare back at me from the crawl space. I freeze. The eyes blink. Then the panel snaps shut. I tumble off the stool, heart in my throat. My radio crackles one final time. A whisper so close I feel it in my ear. Thank you. The booth plunges into darkness as the last fluorescent flickers out. I fumble for my flashlight. Dead. My backup light in my pocket clicks on. Flat battery. I'm blind. I back toward the door, hand on the handle, and stop. Footsteps on the canopy above, slow, deliberate. Someone pacing. Gravel shifts. The canopy light sputters back to life, and for a split second I see a figure standing on top. Tall, featureless, head tilted as if curious. Then the light dies again. I don't wait. I wrench open the door and bolt across the pad. I dive into the cruiser, lock every door. My hands are shaking so hard I can barely start the engine. Headlights on, I peel out onto the highway, tires spitting gravel. Red and blue light bars strobe once more across the empty lot, then fade. I drive 90 down Route 73, radio in my lap, waiting for dispatch. Waiting for someone, anyone, to tell me it was a prank, a wiring fault, a trick of the light, but there is only silence on the line. When I finally pull off at the next precinct, my sergeant meets me at the door. His face is pale. "We checked the station," he says. "No one's been in or out since midnight. Cameras recorded nothing but static. And Calloway," he trails off. "You okay?" I look back the way I came. The road is empty. The night is still. I force a nod. "I'm fine," I say. But I know I'm not. Because somewhere out there, in the static, in the dark, in the cold hum of a lonely service station, something waited for me. And it wasn't ready to let me go. What really happened under that flickering canopy? And who, or what, whispered thank you into my ear? I punch the lock release and the door flies open. I dive onto the gravel, skidding across rough stones, then bolt for my cruiser without looking back. My flashlight lies abandoned under the pump's shadow. I fling myself behind the wheel, slamming the door shut, fumbling the keys into the ignition. The engine roars, tires bite into the gravel, and I peel away toward Route 73. Red and blue strobes fade in my rearview mirror, but the station remains dark. Its canopy light dead, windows opaque. My chest heaves. Every nerve is alight. I key the mic. "Dispatch, Unit 4823, I'm clear." No sign of subject. Requesting immediate. Static, as if the radio itself rejects the words. I coast into the precinct parking lot 15 minutes later. The world inside the sliding doors is warm and fluorescent bright. My sergeant, Daniels, meets me with two backup officers. They look grave. Behind them, the station security feeds flicker on a bank of monitors. Daniels nods toward the screens. We pulled the tapes. Everything after midnight is nothing but static. No movement, no figures, just snow. I swallow. But I saw them, heard them. One of the officers, Reyes, clears his throat. We checked the station's wiring. The doors, the locks, all mechanically perfect. The coffee machine log shows no usage since yesterday morning. He glances at the other monitor. Even the attendant's phone pinged in the booth, but no call records after your arrival. My head pounds. So, the 911 call, the voice on my radio, never happened, Daniels says softly. Dispatch logs show no incoming call at that time. And that music on your radio? Their maintenance team found no source for that frequency in the area. I close my eyes, the memory floods back, the back door swinging shut behind me. The static-laced whisper. Thank you. The pale shapes on the monitors. The glove. The footsteps on the canopy. The eyes in the crawl space. It all felt so real. Daniels places a hand on my shoulder. You okay to file your report? I nod numbly. They escort me to an interview room. The walls are beige, the table cold metal. I recount every detail, every flicker, every whisper, every silhouette. They take notes, faces unreadable. When I finish, Daniels folds his arms. Officer, you've got 20 years on the force. You know the stress these night shifts can bring. Fatigue can play tricks. He slides a cup of water across the table. It's okay to admit you're rattled. I stare at the cup. My hands still tremble. I know what I saw. He exhales. We'll log it as an unexplained equipment malfunction and a false alarm. We'll close the case. You should take 24 off. Get some rest. I stand. Yes, Sergeant. But I don't feel rest coming. I don't sleep. Not really. Every time I close my eyes, I'm back under that canopy. The taste of stale coffee, the hum of the fluorescent, the crunch of gravel. At dawn, I drive back past Lone Pine Service. The lot is empty, scrub grass pushing through cracks. The booth windows are dark. I park 50 yards away, kill the engine, and sit. Sunlight creeps across the asphalt. I step out, unholster my weapon. Everything is normal, too normal. I approach the pump. No glove, no footprints. I shine my flashlight beneath the booth. Nothing. My breath catches as I glance up at the canopy. The metal supports gleam, no sign of footsteps. The world is silent. I tap the back door, locked. From the outside, it clicks open easily. I peer inside. The booth is empty. Dust motes drift in the morning light. I step in. The register drawer is shut. The coffee machine is cold. I press the radio test button. Clear tone. I flip the security monitor power. Each feed comes up crisp and clear. Booth interior, pumps, back lot. No static, no shapes, nothing but empty frames. My stomach twists. I shut the monitors off. The booth feels too quiet. I step back outside and turn. For a fraction of a second, under the pump's shadow, I see a figure. Tall, featureless, head tilted. My heart stops. I blink. It's gone. The lot is empty. I get back in the cruiser, hands trembling on the wheel. Before I pull away, I key the mic one last time. Dispatch. This is Calloway. Cancel that 24 off. I'm taking the next shift. Someone has to find out what happened here. I drive off, leaving the station behind. The road ahead is sunlit, normal, but I know the dark stays with you. In every hum of a fluorescent tube, every crackle on a radio, every flicker at the edge of your vision. I'll be back. I have to be, because whatever waited under that canopy isn't finished. And neither am I. I slipped out of the cruiser before the engine even cooled, my boots scuffing against the gravel lot. The single pump's weak fluorescent bulb quivered in the dusk breeze, casting long, jittery shadows across the cracked asphalt. Silver Creek Fuel and Mart stood alone among pines and scrub, its windows smeared with road dust. I clipped my radio mic to my chest and cleared my throat. Dispatch, Unit 24 on scene. No sign of the caller yet. Doors locked. My voice sounded hollow in the gathering dark. I tapped the door, locked tight. The cashier, a young woman named Carla, huddled behind the counter, eyes wide. She'd called 911 30 seconds ago, whispering into her headset, "Someone's back there," then bolted. I found her pacing the floor, hugging her arms, her face pale beneath the harsh overhead light. "Stay here," I said, forcing calm. "I'm checking the back." She nodded, voice tight. "Please be careful. The they just wouldn't stay shut. I stepped through the narrow hallway into the storage area. Boxes of oil and screen wash lined metal shelves. The air smelled of stale coffee grounds and damp cardboard. My flashlight beam flicked across a lock-in latch on the employee door. Latched, yet the handle scraped as though someone had tried it twice. I eased the door open into the cramped office. A bank of monitors glowed with static. One screen snapped to life, showing the forecourt. Empty. The next flickered, revealing Carla pressed against the front window. The third showed me, standing in the doorway, though I hadn't turned on that camera. For a heartbeat, the image wavered, and I saw a second figure behind me, pale, still, head cocked to one side. I spun, flashlight beam carving through shadow. Nothing but overturned crates. My radio crackled. Unit 24, status? Visuals glitching. I need backup. Static hissed in reply. A low thunk echoed behind me. Metal on cement. I swept the light toward the source. The rear door's latch was shifting, slowly unlatching itself. I sprinted back, yanking it closed. The click echoed like a gunshot. Footsteps, soft, dragging, on the concrete floor. I leveled my flashlight down the corridor. The beam landed on muddy footprints trailing away from the door, through the coffee-stained break room, toward the front exit. I raced after them, heart hammering. My hand hovered over my holster. In the main room, Carla stood rigid. "He's gone," she whispered. "He was right there." I scanned the pumps through the window. Nothing. Then the wind shifted. The bulb over pump 1 sputtered, plunging the nozzle into half-darkness. I stepped outside, flashlight in one hand, radio in the other. The night was unnaturally silent. No insects, no hum of traffic. The only sound was my boot on asphalt. A car sat at pump 1. Engine off, headlights on, fog rolling over the hood. No one in the driver's seat. I approached, calling, "Sir? Everything okay?" No answer. The interior light flickered. I opened the door, empty, the key still in the ignition. My blood ran cold. I circled the vehicle. The rear door cracked open on its own. I flicked on my radio. "Dispatch, Unit 24. Abandoned vehicle, pump 1. No driver. Request tow and K9. A static-laced reply. "Copy. Units en route." I shone the light into the back seat. A dark smear coated the upholstery. Brownish, thick. Coffee grounds, oil, it glistened wet. I dipped a finger, sticky warmth. I touched the tip to my tongue. Rusty, metallic. Blood. I stepped back. The beam caught movement. Carla's reflection in the window, frozen with terror. I turned. She was inside, pressing her face to the glass. "He's here," she mouthed. I aimed my flashlight at the pump. Nothing. Then the nozzle twitched, as if it were lifted by an invisible hand. The hose curled toward the ground like a snake. I grabbed Carla's arm and yanked her away. "Get inside." I shoved her through the door and locked it. She sobbed against the counter. I crouched by the car, radio dead silent. The smear had vanished. No stain on my glove, no trace on the seat. I ran my finger along the edge of the door frame. Faint prints. Long fingers, too many joints. The overhead bulb flared and died, plunging us into darkness. My flashlight illuminated the pump across the lot. There, a figure stood, tall, thin, head tilted. It hadn't been there before. I swallowed. "Carla, call it in, now." Her fingers shook as she dialed. I kept the beam fixed on the figure. It didn't move. Then it raised a hand and pointed at me. I clicked my radio mic. "Dispatch, visual on suspect, ghost light, possible armed. Send immediate backup." Only static answered. The figure dissolved into the night. I bolted to the door, yanked it open, and Carla was gone. The store was empty, lights flickering. The registers sat open, coffee machine dripping. No footprints in the dust. No sign of Carla or the figure. My heart thundered as I stepped outside. The car's headlights winked out. The pump light flickered back on. Silence resumed, as if nothing had happened. I radioed again. "Dispatch, My voice broke. No response. I climbed into the cruiser, locked the doors, and sat for minutes, trembling. Then I saw movement on the rearview monitor. A man stumbling toward me from the woods, clothes torn, face ashen. I leapt out, heart in my throat. He collapsed at my feet. I recognized him from earlier reports, the missing driver. Motor off, headlights on, vanished for hours. He gasped. He collects them. Underground, bunker, woods, and blacks out. I radioed for EMS. As I waited, I scanned the tree line where he'd emerged. The pines swayed, though the air was still. A faint breathing hissed through the radio speaker, though no one was keyed up. Later, county units and forensics swarmed the station. They dusted for prints, found only mine. The security footage was erased. The smear on the seat left no DNA. Carla never returned. She vanished overnight. I stayed until dawn, pacing between pump and cruiser, flashlight in hand. The autumn wind carried a single drip, somewhere, water leaking. Or was it? When the sun rose, the station looked benign, coffee machine ticking, empty pump, no sign of terror. But I knew better. In Silver Creek, the darkness gathers around that lone bulb and waits. It remembers every shift, every officer, and it waits for the door to unlatch itself again. I shine my flashlight down the long corridor of shelves again, heart hammering. The back door latch is still scuffed where someone, or something, forced it open. I press my palm to the cold metal. It rattles under my hand. I yank it fully closed and twist the deadbolt. Carla's words echo in my mind. He's in the woods, the bunker. I radio dispatch, but only static answers. My breath puffs white in the sudden chill. The station's ancient HVAC clanks behind me, though the outdoor temperature is barely above freezing. The fluorescent tube overhead sputters, and for an instant the entire room goes dark. Then the light returns, revealing muddy footprints leading out through the wine-red break room door. I crouch, following them with my beam. They skid across the threshold, vanish into the main store. I burst through, skidding on dust, and the front door slams itself shut behind me. Carla's workstation is empty. The cash drawer stands open, coins scattered like wet insects. I spin toward the pumps. The cruiser's headlights lie dead in the lot. The lone pump gurgles, no hose attached. Then the nozzle twitches, as though dropped by an invisible hand. I step closer, every nerve screaming. A whisper on the wind. Ethan. I whirl. The beam cuts through empty air. The whisper comes again, louder, just behind me. I swing the light, nothing. Then I catch movement at the tree line, a tall silhouette impossibly still. Its head tilts, focusing on me. My radio crackles. Unit 24. Status. I don't answer. I step backward toward the door, and Carla steps out of the shadows, pale, eyes glazed. "He said to give you this," she whispers, holding out a single gas pump receipt, time-stamped 2:13 a.m. The name printed at the top. Maggie Carter. My heart stops. That's my wife's name. I grab the slip and the world tilts. The lot goes silent. Even the ancient coffee machine inside has stilled. Carla's face flickers under the bulb, half human, half something else. She turns, drifting backward toward the woods, the receipt dangling from her fingers. I lunge forward. "Carla, wait!" She doesn't look back. The tree line swallows her. I stand alone beneath the trembling tube, the receipt clutched in my fist. The date printed on it reads tomorrow's date. My radio explodes with static, then a voice. distorted, deeper than any human register. He's waiting. The bulb snaps off. Darkness. Then the back door creak, slowly unlatching. I draw my weapon, flashlight in offhand, and step toward the door. Every instinct screams to run, to call for help, to flee, but I can't look away. The corridor beyond stretches into blackness. From somewhere deep inside, I hear the drip of water, the scrape of metal on stone. The taste of ozone and fear floods my mouth. I step in. The door swings shut behind me with a dull thud. My beam illuminates wavering rows of supplies and footprints in the spilled coffee grounds, leading toward a low crawl-space door cut into the floor. The hatch is ajar. I press my finger to the gap. Cold air exhales from below, carrying the stench of damp earth and something fouled, old blood, decay. A soft click. The hatch falls fully open. I swallow. My radio still crackles with that voice. Come down. Every rational thought fights it, but I know I have to follow. For Carla, for the missing, for my wife. I grip the handle, take a deep breath, and climb into the darkness. The hatch closes overhead. Silence, then the distant drip, drip, drip. My flashlight beam dances across rough-hewn walls, earth and roots, crude wooden supports. The tunnel slopes downward. I check the receipt again, tomorrow's date, and below it, in shaky red ink, see you soon. I press on, each step echoing. The air grows colder, damper. The walls sweat. My boots splash in shallow puddles. The beam catches a figure slumped against the far wall. A man in a gas-stained jacket. Another missing driver. He's alive, but barely, eyes pleading. I kneel. Sir, I'm Officer Carter. I'm here to help. He coughs, blood flecking his lips. He, collector, children, wife. His eyes roll shut. I grab his shoulder. Stay with me. He gasps, then silence. My light drifts upward. Deeper into the tunnel, where something moves. A soft scrape, like fingernails on rock. My radio mic lights, though I never keyed it. Go back. I spin. No way out. Only the shaft of dim light above, too high to reach. I'm in. Footsteps shuffle in the dark. I sweep the beam. 2 red dots glint ahead. A tall, gaunt form steps into view, the collector. He smiles, lips thin, expression empty. Detective, he says, voice calm, echoing. Welcome back. My heart hammers. Where are they? He holds up a finger. Below. You brought him. He nods at the driver, but you left her. I glance at the far end. Carla lies unconscious, face pale, breathing shallow. He steps closer, lantern in hand, illuminating his hollow cheeks. She's safe, for now. But your family, they pump gas too. My blood runs cold. Maggie fills our cruiser every week. 2 children asleep in our living room right now. He crouches, studying the receipt in my hand. Tomorrow, he whispers. Next shift. He stands, lantern lifting. The tunnel splits into 5 corridors. Choose one, he says. My mind races. No backup, no exit. Only corridors leading deeper into Earth. He steps back, lantern glow retreating. Time's up. The tunnel rumbles, rocks shifting above. The faint light from the hatch far overhead disappears. I'm alone, trembling, with 5 paths before me, and the knowledge that one leads to Maggie, another to Carla, others to who knows what. The collector's voice drifts on the stale air. Decide, Officer Carter, or I decide for you. Silence closes in. I press my hand to the wet wall, heart pounding. Each corridor whispers, choose me. I raise my flashlight, aim down the center path, and step forward. The beam catches movement at the edge. A child's toy car, wheels spinning in a puddle. My breath catches. I move toward it, and the tunnel goes black. A distant drip, then, Ethan. My hand tightens on the Glock. I step into the dark. I blink as the darkness swallows my flashlight's beam, heart hammering in my ears. The plastic toy car lies half submerged in muddy water at my feet. Its tiny wheels still turning, though there's no one to push them. My pulse spikes. I scoop it up, fingers slick, and the beam flickers across 5 narrow tunnels branching ahead. Each corridor's walls are slick with moisture. The air reeks of damp earth and something fouled, like rotting wood. I force my legs to move. I have to choose. I tuck the toy into my coat pocket, a reminder of what's at stake, and step into the center tunnel. The slope angles downward more steeply here. My boots splash through puddles that seem to deepen as I go. The beam reveals crude wooden braces, hastily installed, bowed under weight. Every board creaks, threatening collapse. I swallow, forcing calm. Halfway down, the tunnel opens into a low cavern, lit by a single bare bulb swinging from exposed wires. Beneath it lies a rectangular hatch in the dirt floor, nailed shut with long spikes. Around the hatch, footprints, muddy, human, some small, child-sized. My breath catches. I set the toy car beside the hatch. "Carla?" I whisper. "Maggie?" No answer. Only the drip-drip of water from the ceiling. The bulb sways. I realize the spikes are loosening, one by one, as if someone or something wants it open. My radio mic crackles. Static, then a faint child's giggle. I whirl, flashlight sweeping. No child, only shadows dancing on the braces. I pry at the hatch with my boot. The wood groans. A spike falls away. Beneath, darkness yawns. I press my ear, muffled sobs. Carla? Or one of the missing townspeople? I slide the hatch free. The drop is shallow, maybe 3 feet, to a narrow cell carved into the earth. Inside, bundled in a filthy blanket, is a child no older than 6, eyes wide with terror. She looks up as I shine the light. "Officer?" she whispers. "Hey there," I crouch, voice gentle. "I'm here to help. What's your name?" "Lily." She hugs her knees. "He said, stay quiet." I extend my hand. "Come on, let's get you out." She hesitates, then I lift her free. Her small weight in my arms sends a jolt through me. I climb back through the hatch. The bulb flickers violently, then steadies. The cavern feels smaller, as though it's contracting. The earth beneath my boots vibrates. I press Lily to my chest. She trembles. I whisper, "You're safe now." She points up the tunnel. "He's coming." My flashlight clicks off. Pitch black. Lily's grip tightens. I pop it back on, only to see, at the tunnel entrance, the collector's silhouette, arms folded, unmoving. "You found one," he says softly. The cavern light glints off his hollow eyes. "Good." I stand, Lily clinging. "Where's the others?" He smiles. "Spread throughout." He gestures down the other 4 tunnels. Each holds someone you saved and someone you lost. My stomach knots. "Why? What do you want?" He steps closer. Damp earth sloughs from his coat. "A trade." I glance at Lily. She presses her face into my shoulder. "You keep her safe," I say. He nods. "In exchange, you choose one tunnel to leave by. The rest stay." My mind spins. The others, Carla, the driver, maybe Maggie, could be trapped down those passages. If I take Lily and leave, I save one more life. If I stay to free them all, I may doom Lily and myself. He tilts his head. "Hurry." The bulb dims. The walls seem to close in. Lily wraps her arms around my neck, silent tears wetting my collar. My radio crackles. A voice, Maggie's, calling, "Ethan?" Distant, distorted. I rush forward, voice urgent. "Lily, I'm going to open the others. Stay close." She nods, eyes wide. I slide the hatch aside. The collector's lips curve. "Time starts now." I sprint back to the branch point. Lily in one arm, flashlight in the other, heart pounding. I count the tunnels. When I came down, 4 remain. I choose the leftmost. The beam reveals a steep crawl space, earth packed tight. I wedge through, Lily's small form following. The passage narrows until I squeeze through a final opening into a tiny cell. There, Carla huddles, rocking, eyes glazed. She looks up. Recognition flickers. "Officer Carter?" she rasps. "Carla, I've got you." I untangle her arms, lift her. Her weight is lighter than Lily's, but her relief is heavy in my chest. We crawl back. Behind us, wood creaks. The braces are failing. I race back to the cavern. The collector stands waiting, lantern held high. He nods. 2 freed. I look to the other tunnels. 3 remain. Carla leans on me. Lily buries her face. I steel myself. He steps aside. "Go." I charge into the next tunnel, straight ahead, boots splashing. The beam catches a figure slumped against the wall, the missing driver. He stirs as I approach, recognition igniting in his eyes. I help him up. His weight steadies me. "Thank you," he whispers. Now 3 to go. The collector's lantern bobbles in the distance. The air grows colder. I swallow my fear. I herd the 2 survivors back into the cavern. The hatch is nearly sealed by earth. Braces cracked, spikes fallen. Beyond, the final 2 passages branch off. One veers left, one right. Lily clutches my leg. Carla's eyes plead. The driver steadies himself. I glance at the collector. He watches, arms folded. No words. I choose the left passage next. We crawl through knee-deep water. The beam reflects on dripping walls. At the end, a woman lies curled in a fetal position. Maggie's face, pale but alive. Relief nearly knocks me off my feet. "Maggie!" I drop to my knees, arms trembling. She looks up, eyes bright with tears. I pull her close. Her warmth floods me. I gather the 4 of them, Lily, Carla, the driver, Maggie, and turn back. The final tunnel yawns behind me. Only one left. I pause. 3 survivors, plus me, can escape. But 1 person remains trapped if I seal this. If I don't, the collector will hold them forever. He steps forward. "Your choice." My throat tightens. Carla squeezes my hand. Lily presses her cheek to mine. Maggie's breath hitches. The driver's eyes glisten. I exhale. No one left behind. I spring into the last tunnel. It slopes steeply downward. Water soaks through my uniform. The beam shakes across rough stone until it falls on a figure bound to a post. A teenage boy, eyes closed, breathing ragged. He's alive. I yank at his bonds. The ropes cut into my gloves. He slumps free. I half carry him, half drag him back. The tunnel groans. Rocks shifting above. I burst into the cavern as the hatch shudders. The collector stands, clapping slowly. "Brave," he says. "Foolish." I scoop the boy into Maggie's arms. Carla gathers Lily. The driver supports me. All 5 of us crowd beneath the hatch as I push it open. Sunlight, weak but real, filters in. Fresh air rushes past. I climb out first, heart hammering. Then Maggie, Lily, Carla, the driver, the boy. We spill onto loose dirt outside the station's rear entrance. Ourselves, 5. The collector nowhere to be seen. I turn back. The door slams shut behind us. The forest stands silent. I check my watch, exactly 2:13 a.m., tomorrow's date. The receipt flutters from my pocket, damp and smeared. I gather the group. Carla leans on Maggie. Lily clutches the toy car. The driver pats my shoulder. The boy nods once. I radio dispatch. "Unit 24, we have 6, no injuries requiring transport. Situation under control." Static, then clear. "Copy, Unit 24. Proceed when ready." I exhale. The lot's lone pump stands idle. The fluorescent bulb hums. I guide them to the cruiser. As Maggie settles Lily into her seat, I glance back at the dark tree line. No flash of movement, no pale silhouette. I start the engine. The headlights cut a path back to the station's front. Carla squeezes my shoulder. "Thank you," she whispers. I nod, voice tight. We stick together now. We drive out, wheels crunching on gravel. Behind us, Silver Creek Fuel and Mart recedes into darkness. The forest swallows the lot once more. I glance at the receipt on the passenger seat. Tomorrow's date. See you soon. I swallow. I don't know what's next, but I know we survived. For now. And I know he's still waiting in the dark, counting down to that date. The cruiser's headlights pierce the night as we head home. 6 souls bound by fear and relief and the unspoken question, what happens when the collector comes for us again? I press my back against the cruiser's hood, heart hammering. The night air tastes of gasoline and pine. Behind me, Maggie shepherds Lily and the others toward the diner where we can regroup. I look at the rear entrance hatch, closed solid. The forest beyond is silent, watching. I've survived 3 tunnels, rescued 5 people, but the collector's parting words echo. Tomorrow at 2:13, I'll be waiting. Now, it's hours before that deadline. I have to prepare. I sweep the station's perimeter one last time. The lone pump stands inert beneath its flickering bulb. No footprints remain except ours. The cruiser's headlights carve twin corridors of light into the dark. I radio dispatch, Unit 24 secure, no sign of suspect, station clear. Copy, Unit 24, comes the calm reply. I kill the engine. Silence floods back, and I notice the console clock, 1:47 a.m., 26 minutes until 2:13. I step into the station's lobby. Carla sits at a folding chair, hands wrapped around a paper cup of coffee. Her eyes are red, haunted. Maggie crouches beside Lily, brushing, rain-spattered hair from her daughter's forehead. The missing driver paces. The teenage boy sleeps, exhausted. I take a breath. We've got 26 minutes. Tomorrow's date on that receipt, it means something. It's the collector's next call. Carla's lips tremble. He said he collects them, like trophies. I nod. We saw the bunker. He's organized, methodical. If he hits us again, he'll choose another shift, maybe one of you. Maggie stands, folding Lily into her arms. What do? I pull out the receipt. We turn the tables. At 2 a.m., the station feels like a fortress. Shadows pool in corners. Every breath echoes. Lily clings to Maggie. Carla stands by the rear door. Driver watches the front window. The boy covers the hallway. I take position by the pump, hand on my holster, eyes on the tree line. 2 a.m. The fluorescent bulb flickers. Static hum seeps from the radio speaker, though no one is transmitting. 2:10 a.m., a soft thump at the rear door. Carla tenses, raises the tire iron. 2:12 a.m., the bolt rattles. Then silence. I tap my mic, hold positions. At exactly 2:13 a.m., the bulb overhead slams full bright, then dies. The lot plunges into darkness, save for the cruiser's headlights. A shape moves at the edge of that light, a tall, thin silhouette. The collector steps forward, lantern in hand. His face is pale, lips curved in that empty smile. He glides across the asphalt, unhurried. Footsteps make no sound. The bulb flickers back on, revealing him inches from Carla. She swings the iron, but it passes through him. Her arm connects with empty air. He emerges behind her, tapping the lantern against her spine. She gasps. I fire a warning shot into the air. The bullet cracks the night. The collector pauses, lantern swinging. I step forward, voice steady. This ends now. He lifts a finger. "You rescued them," he says. "Impressive. But can you save them all?" He gestures, and the station doors slam shut. The lobby lights cut out. The security DVR clicks off. The survivors inside scream. The driver pounds on the window. Maggie shields Lily. The boy charges the door with his conduit. I level my flashlight at the collector. "Open it," he smiles. "Or I will." He raises the lantern, and the bulb explodes in a flash of sparks, plunging the lot into pitch darkness. I trigger the cruiser's siren, wailing loud to disorient him. The survivors rush from the lobby through the front door into the lot. I heard them behind the pump's protective bollard. In the black, I hear him moving, sliding around us, laughter like metal on metal. I fire off another shot into the darkness. Something heavy crashes. Suddenly, the rear hatch slams open. A figure stumbles out. Carla's silhouette but twisted. I rush to intercept. She collapses into my arms, terrified. "He was behind me," she sobs. I guide her behind the pump. Maggie, Lily the driver, and the boy huddle close. Hearts pound. Then footsteps, slow, circling. I flick on my flashlight, illuminating the collector standing 8 feet away, lantern lowered. Shadows dance across his hollow cheeks. He tilts his head. "Your trap is quaint, but I control the darkness." He steps forward and vanishes. The beam catches empty pavement. From the corner of my eye, I see movement. The driver jerks, knocked off his feet by an unseen force. He crashes into the cruiser door. Maggie screams. Lily buries her face. I fire again. The flash briefly reveals the collector's shape at the edge of the beam, then gone. I shout, "Fall back!" We retreat behind the pump into the station's vestibule. I slam the door, lock it. The survivors scramble in. I wedge a chair under the handle. Inside, the air is stale, buzzing with fear. The front window rattles. The lamp over the counter flickers. I turn to the group. "We've bought a few seconds. Listen to me. We lure him in here, then electrify him." Carla blinks. "Electrify?" I nod. "The coffee machine's on a separate circuit. If we overload it, when he touches the counter, bang." Maggie grips Lily. "Is that safe?" I point at the conduit the boy holds. "We complete the circuit with this. It's our best shot." They exchange terrified looks, but nod. I pull the station's main breaker. It clicks off. The humming stops. I flip the coffee machine's power switch on. Nothing happens. Then I connect the conduit between the counter's metal edge and the exposed wiring behind the breaker. Sparks hiss. "Ready?" I ask. They brace. The lock rattles. The collector's voice drifts through the door. "Open up, Officer Carter, or I'll collect you all." I shout, "Now!" The door crashes inward. He steps through, lantern held high. His eyes gleam with mock admiration. I trigger the breaker. Power surges through the conduit. The countertop shivers as electricity arcs. He reaches out, lantern raised, and grasps the metal edge of the counter. The arc leaps from counter to conduit in a blinding flash. He convulses as electricity courses through him. His lantern falls, shattering glass. He howls, a sound, like metal tearing. I shine my flashlight. His body flickers, half solid, limbs jerking. Then he goes limp. The arc collapses. Silence. Smoke curls from the conduit. The coffee machine's carafe rattles. I step forward, weapon trained. He lies against the counter, pale, motionless, no hint of breath. I radio dispatch. Unit 24, suspect down. I repeat, suspect down. Send EMS and forensics. Static, then relief. Copy, Unit 24. Officers en route. Maggie rushes to Lily. Carla kneels, shaken. The driver and the boy stare at the fallen figure. I approach, and the collector's body dissolves into motes of black dust, drifting into the air vents. The counter is scorched but intact. I swallow. The conduit is still sparking. Dangerous. I yank it free. At 3 a.m., the station is cordoned off by troopers. We give statements. No body to process, just scorched concrete and spent shell casings. The security DVR shows static throughout. The coffee machine circuit is fried. I stand with Maggie and Lily outside the tape line. She squeezes my hand. Lily clutches her toy car, asleep in her mother's arms. Carla, the driver, and the boy stand nearby, wrapped in blankets. I look back at the pump's flickering bulb. It hums softly, as if nothing happened. A trooper approaches. "Lieutenant wants you at the station." I nod, then pause. The station manager peers from the lobby, eyes wide. He whispers, "What happened?" I rest a hand on the pump. "He collected one last trophy, my fear, but he won't be back." Maggie steps forward. "Ethan, our home?" I glance at the cruiser. "We go home." As we drive away, I glance in the rearview mirror. The station's bulb flickers one final time, then steadies. The lot is empty, no sign of the collector. On the seat beside me lies the scorched receipt. The date, tomorrow, has burned away. Blank paper now. I tuck it into my pocket. Lily stirs and murmurs, "Daddy?" I smile, voice quiet. "We're safe, for now." But I know the darkness remembers, and somewhere, beyond that flickering bulb, the collector's promise lingers. "See you soon." And I wonder, when the next 2:13 a.m. arrives, will we be ready? The hatch above clicks shut. We stand in the station's rear room, 6 of us huddled beneath the dying glow of the single overhead bulb. Every breath tastes of dust and fear. The collector's scorched dust swirled in the air vents, but his promise remains. "See you soon." I check my watch. Dawn is hours away, but the station's walls already feel colder. Maggie presses Lily closer. The girl clutches her toy car as if it's the only real thing left. Carla trembles. The driver rubs his bruised shoulder. The boy stares at the floor. They look to me, waiting. I step into the corridor. The barricades we set have held, for now. The front door stands closed, the rear door locked tight. The silence is deafening. "We need to get out," I say, voice low, before he or something else returns. Maggie rises, voice firm. We stick together. I nod and lead them toward the front. The registers sit open. The coffee machine is cold. No sign of movement. Outside, the lot is empty beneath that lone pump. We reach the cruiser. The engine idles. I open the passenger door for Maggie and Lily. They slide in. Carla climbs into the back, the driver and the boy beside her. I drop into the driver's seat last, locking the doors. I flick on the headlights. The bulb over pump 1 sputters once, then steady light. I exhale. I shift into gear and pull onto the gravel road. The station recedes in the mirror. A rectangle of yellow light surrounded by black pines. Lily presses her face to the glass, watching. Carla wipes her eyes. The driver rubs his neck. The boy holds the conduit like a talisman. I drive toward town. The road winds under low-hanging branches. The cruiser's headlights carve a path through the gloom. Each bump sends my heart into my throat. Behind us, I swear the station's bulb flickers again. By 3:30 a.m., we reach the town's edge. The street lamps flicker on. I radio dispatch. Unit 24, transporting 6 civilians. All safe, returning to station. Copy, Unit 24. Good work, medical en route for evaluation. I kill the engine outside Millie's diner. Steam drifts from its vents. We pile out, legs stiff. Maggie holds Lily. Carla leans on the driver. The boy stands beside me, eyes hollow. Millie rushes out, apron stained. Officer Carter, is everyone? Her gasp halts. She sees Lily, sees the others. Good Lord. Inside, warm light and coffee await. I settle the group in booths. Carla sips slowly, Lily dozes. The others stare at steaming mugs. I step outside, phone in hand. I text the sergeant. Situation contained. Recommend full forensic sweep of station. No body recovered. Witness reports corroborate. Suspect likely neutralized. Status unknown. I tuck the phone away. The morning sky brightens faintly. We sit in silence. The diner's neon sign hums. I watch Maggie stroke Lily's hair. Carla presses a napkin to her shaking hands. The driver's keys are on. The table untouched. The boy picks at his fries. I clear my throat. We'll file reports, get checked at the hospital, then go home. They nod, though none look convinced they're safe. Millie brings a plate of eggs. On the house, she says softly. You look like you could use it. We eat, awkwardly, haltingly. Every clang of cutlery echoes. The last customers drift out. I stand, pay the check. Let's move. Maggie lifts Lily. Carla follows. The driver and the boy fall in step. Back at the station, the forensic team scours every inch. I watch them work. UV lights over the pump. Sniffer dogs in the woods. Electricians examining the wiring. They find scorch marks, twisted conduit, mud, but no clue to a body, no DNA, just the scorched receipt pinned in evidence. The date, tomorrow, blank. I walk the perimeter alone. The pine needles hush underfoot. The pump's bulb hums. I run my hand along the metal post. Cold, solid, real. A twig snaps, I whirl, nothing. My breath fogs. I exhale. On the asphalt, I see muddy prints that vanish at the tree line. I kneel, study them. They're human, and something else. Elongated toes, narrow heels. Not entirely man. I stand. The station behind me glows false and fragile. That evening, I file my official report. Then I return home. Maggie and Lily sleep. I watch them. I tuck the blanket around Lily, kiss her hair. Maggie stirs, half awake, smiles. I lie beside her, staring at the ceiling. Questions whirl. Was he destroyed? Will he come back? What did he mean by, I control the darkness? And most urgent, what happens at 2:13 tomorrow? I check my watch, 9:45 p.m. Tomorrow's hours stretch before me. I rise and gather supplies. Extra locks, flashlights, batteries, my service weapon, the conduit. I pack them by the door. Maggie stirs. Ethan? I'll be ready, I whisper. She nods sleepily. At 2 a.m. the next night, I'm back at Silver Creek Fuel and Mart. Alone. No survivors this time. I set fresh barricades. I hang the conduit across the counter. I plug in a portable radio tuned to white noise. I arrange motion sensors borrowed from the sheriff's office. The station stands silent, waiting. I sit in the cruiser, engine off, radio on static. My flashlight rests on the passenger seat beside the scorched receipt. Blank now, but ominous. My nerves coil. The bulb overhead quivers. The radio hisses. Static words, Ethan. I clutch the wheel. A thump at the rear door. I aim my flashlight at the window. Nothing. The conduit hums faintly. The bulb snaps off. Darkness. The sensor alarms shriek. The radio crackles. See you soon. My flashlight clicks on. The collector stands beneath the pump light, lantern raised. His smile is emptier than ever. He steps forward, and the motion sensors flare, spotlights snapping on from hidden housings. The station is bathed in harsh white light. The conduit crackles with electricity. My radio bursts with voices. He halts, frozen in glare. For a moment, truly vulnerable. I press the horn. Tires scream. Backup cruisers flood the lot. Sirens wail. Troopers leap out, weapons drawn. They encircle him. He looks around, amused. Impressive, he says. Then he dissolves. dust in the spotlights drifting upward into the night. The troopers lower their weapons. The station returns to silence. I step forward, heart racing. On the ground where he stood lies a single object. A small, charred domino tile, one dot. I pick it up. The dot glows faint red, then fades. I pocket the tile. Backup arrives. I watch as they sweep the lot. No sign of him. The receipt remains blank. The bulb flickers back to normal. The conduit lies silent. I breathe out. The collector's challenge met tonight. But as I turn away, the domino's dot pulses. Once, twice. Tomorrow at 2:13 there will be 2. I walk toward the cruisers, resolve hardening. Whatever he is, wherever he waits, I'll be ready. Because now it's more than rescue. It's a reckoning. And I will be there when the darkness comes again. I slid under the flickering canopy of the lone Desert Star gas station at mile marker 47, the engine of my cruiser still humming. The desert night was so silent that even the heartbeat in my ears felt loud. I stepped onto the cracked concrete apron, flashlight in one hand, service revolver in the other. The yellow glow of the single pump light sputtered overhead like a dying pulse. No clerk, no customer, just the low drone of the ancient coffee machine inside, echoing through the plate glass windows. I keyed the microphone on my shoulder. Dispatch Unit 4127, Lone Desert Star, no sign of personnel. One pump active, nozzle on the ground. The reply crackled faintly. Copy that, Reed. Backup ETA 10 minutes. Alone until then. I exhaled, the breath visible in the chill air conditioning leak by the doorframe. Inside, the fluorescent tube overhead flickered in Morse code. Flash, dark, flash. The shelves sagged under dusty snack packs. The soda cooler hummed, frost lining the edges of forgotten bottles. I swept the beam across the register. Open drawer, receipt rolls scattered, a single women's tennis shoe lying on its side. The kind of white canvas shoe a college kid might wear. I crouched, picked it up, no owner in sight. A soft, metallic click came from the back room. My skin tightened. I approached the rear door, marked Employees Only, and the lock indicator glowed green, though I was sure it had been latched. The handle jiggled in my hand. I whispered, "Hello? Anyone back here?" Only static answered. I stepped in. The beam revealed a narrow storage area, shelves of oil cans, cleaning supplies, a rattling water heater in the corner. I heard a faint drip, like water leaking, but the basement drain was dry. Then the coffee machine gurgled behind me, though I'd shut it off at the counter. My pulse sped. Turning, I caught movement on the security monitor mounted to the wall. A pale face reflected in the glass, eyes wide, mouth stretched in a silent scream. I spun toward the real window, empty. The reflection remained on the screen, flickering, then gone. I muffled a curse. A sudden hiss. The overhead speaker crackled to life, spitting out a warped children's lullaby, tinny and slowed, as if underwater. La la, la la. The notes stuttered, warped. I slammed a fist on the console. Cut the feed. The lullaby stuttered and died. Footsteps, soft, dragging, echoed behind the pump. I spun, flashlight beam slicing the dark. Nothing. Just the gravel lot stretching into black. Then a whisper in my ear. Help. I whirled, but my earpiece only crackled. I pressed my hand to it. The static pulsed against my palm. My radio roared. Reed, you copy? Backup, relief and frustration. Copy. I need eyes on the back door, now. I sprinted outside, leaving the shoe on the counter. The rear door, once closed, now lay open 6 inches, revealing inky darkness. I flashed my light inside, nothing but the humming furnace. and the faint outline of footprints in dust leading away from me. No boots, bare impressions, toes splayed. Each print glistened with fresh gasoline. I swallowed hard. Footprints should not climb walls, or so I thought. Yet these led up the sheetrock, dissolving into the seam where floor meets wall. I leaned closer. The smell of fuel was overpowering. My flashlight trembled in my grip. Then I heard it. A soft sobbing from the mini-mart. I raced in. Behind the counter, the tennis shoe lay alone. Beside it, a smear of dark liquid. I flicked the light to the cooler aisle. There, slumped against the grape-flavored soda, was the station clerk. A young woman, eyes red, body trembling. She stared at me, unblinking. "Officer," she croaked. "He won't let me leave." Her voice cracked like old vinyl. I crouched. "Who won't let you leave? The manager? A customer?" She shook her head. Something else. She pointed with a trembling finger toward the back room. I radioed hazmat as I approached the door. "Possible contamination, rear storage, caution." The clerk moaned and slid to the floor. I checked her pulse, fast, shallow. I hoisted her to her feet. Her weight was feather-light. We stepped into the storage area together. The water heater hissed, though it was off. My partner's voice crackled in my ear. "Reed, CO levels are through the roof. Get out." I grabbed the clerk's arm and we bolted. Behind us, the door slammed. I heard the dull thud of something heavy collapsing against the wall. We tumbled into the harsh glare of the canopy light. I set her down gently, calling medical and backup. She didn't speak, just stared at the pump, eyes glazed. I followed her gaze. The nozzle lay on the ground, gasoline pooling. From its edge, a single footprint led away, bare, perfect, heading into the desert night. Paramedics arrived and took over. The clerk was carried away on a stretcher, silent except for the rattle of the oxygen mask. I lingered, flashlight in hand, watching the gasoline soak into cracks. I thought I saw movement at the edge of the light, a silhouette half-glimpse, then gone. When hazmat sealed the station, I collected the evidence. The shoe, the pump log, the storage room sensor readings. All told the same story. A slow leak of carbon monoxide, a malicious tampering of the heater, footprints where none should be. The cameras recorded only static. No sign of our visitor, except that lone shoe and those bare prints. I drove off, leaving the station behind. In the rearview mirror, I thought I saw her, the clerk, standing under the canopy, watching me go. She raised a hand in farewell or warning, I couldn't tell which. Then she vanished into the gathering dark. Sometimes, when I'm on another lonely call, I replay that night in my head, the hiss of gas, the lullaby on the speaker, the feel of those bare prints in gasoline. And I wonder who or what was really running the pumps at Lone Desert Star. The desert wind had kicked up by the time I slid out of my cruiser for the second time, chasing the mirage of her silhouette into the empty lot. My radio crackled with hazmat updates. Carbon monoxide at 1,600 parts per million near the heater, lethal if you stayed more than a minute. But that didn't explain footprints in gasoline, a phantom clerk, or a children's lullaby warping through the station speakers. I stepped beneath the canopy again, heart hammering. The single pump light flickered like a dying star. The pool of gasoline had spread, dark and oily, tracing veins through the cracked concrete. I kept my flashlight trained on the ground, where the bare prints ended at the threshold of the mini-mart. Then, as I cleared my throat, something caught my peripheral vision, motion inside. I swung the beam through the glass front. The shelves trembled in the reflection. The clerk's shoe lay by the counter, but no clerk. Instead, I saw, just for an instant, a figure hunched in the corner, long hair hanging over its face, body rocking. I pressed against the glass. "Hey," I pounded. "Open up!" No answer. The door remained locked. I tapped my badge against the window. "You're safe. I just need to get you out." The rocking stopped. Silence. Then, from somewhere within, a whispered voice, "Don't trust him." It wasn't the clerk's voice. Too deep, hollow. My breath caught. I holstered my flashlight and radioed for entry team. "Read to dispatch. I need forced entry." The response was immediate. "Copy. SWAT en route. 2 minutes, maybe 3. Too long." I scanned the lot. Desert stretched to the horizon. No place to run, no help. I pried the door with my baton. The lock snapped. I eased inside, weapon drawn. The air was colder here, unnatural for a desert night, and smelled faintly sweet like sickly perfume. My flashlight beam trembled as I swept the floor. The registers, the snack racks, the freezer hum. All normal, too normal. Then the speaker crackled, la la, la la. The lullaby slowed, warped. It poured from the overhead box as if the station itself was singing. The voice whispered again, "Stay back." I followed the voice to the back room door, which had crept closed. I yanked it open. Inside, the storage room stretched deeper than before, as if the walls had shifted. Shelves leaned at impossible angles. Cans of oil teetered. The water heater stood at the far end, tubing, snaking into the wall. Footprints in gasoline led from the door to the heater, bare, perfect, and then continued past it, deeper into darkness. I stepped forward, each footstep hissed in the pooled fuel. The temperature dropped, my breath puffed white. I flicked on my secondary light, nothing but shadow. Then I heard a rasping breath behind me. I spun. No one. But the cooling coils of the heater vibrated, as if something inside was alive. I approached, hand on the casing. The metal was warm, hotter than it should be. I tapped it. A hollow echo answered. I pressed my ear to the metal. Through the vibration I heard, felt, a heartbeat. Slow, ragged, mechanical. Not the heater's pump, something else. My radio erupted. "Read, you copy? SWAT is 5 mics out." Relief and alarm warred in my chest. I had company coming, but whatever was here might disappear once they arrived. I grabbed the heater's pipe and twisted. Gas hissed from the joint. Very bad idea. The room burst into motion. A shimmer in the air, like heat rising, then a shape coalescing in the haze. Tall, gaunt, face featureless but for 2 dark sockets where eyes should be. I stumbled back, weapon raised. The figure stepped forward, each movement slow, echoing. Its feet were bare, and the soles glistened with gasoline. It reached out a hand, long, slender fingers, toward the heater. The humming heartbeat grew louder. Then, in a voice like static, "Free me." My mind screamed, "Pull the pin, call the bomb squad, get out." But training froze me. The thing's other hand drifted to its ear, as though it listened, and the scratches of radio static drifted through the walls. I realized with a jolt, this entity wasn't just haunting the station. It was the station, the twisted soul of every desperate call, every late-night death trap. I risked a shot. 1 round into the chest. The beam of my flashlight caught the bullet's impact. Liquid shadow blooming across its torso. It only slowed for a moment, then advanced. The heater's thrum synchronized with its heartbeat, the room pulsing in time. The door burst open, SWAT flooded in, weapons trained. The figure turned its head, if you could call it that, and vanished in a ripple, as though it had never existed. The heater clanged, then went silent. The hiss of gas stopped. The puddles of fuel evaporated, leaving only dark stains. SWAT cleared the room. Gas readings dropped. The station's wiring sparked back to life. Lights steadied, speakers quieted. The clerk's shoe lay by the counter, unchanged. The storage room looked normal again, too normal. I stood in the hallway, heart pounding, watching the team secure the heater and test the air. One tech shook his head. No CO leak now, no explanation for the readings earlier. Another pointed at the heater. Someone rigged this, tampered valves, but no prints, no DNA, nothing. I pocketed the tennis shoe. Evidence, maybe. A clue, maybe not. The station manager arrived at dawn, bleary-eyed, swearing he'd been closed all night. No clerk, no customers, just taped-off crime scene. He stared at the pump, bewildered. I offered him coffee. He laughed nervously. Before I left, I turned back toward the mini-mart. In the dusty window, I saw her, clerk or specter, leaning against the counter, arms crossed, watching me. She lifted a finger and tapped her temple. Remember. Then she faded. I stepped into my cruiser, engine idling. SWAT rolled up, evidence in tow. I held the shoe on my lap, tracing the scuffed canvas. Remember what? I still don't know, but I do know I'll never walk away from a midnight pump without checking the back room again. Dispatch came over the radio. Unit 4127, status? I answered. Secured. But keep this channel open. I have a feeling this station isn't done talking. And somewhere, deep in the speakers, a faint, slowed lullaby began again. Just soft enough to almost miss. I eased back into the driver's seat of my cruiser as dawn's pale light crawled over the desert horizon. My hands still trembled around the steering wheel, the weight of that tennis shoe heavy on my lap like a grim talisman. Behind me, the station sat silent under yellowed floodlights. SWAT vans pulled away, the metal barricades folded down. I watched until the lot was empty, until even the faint hum of the pumps fell silent. I flipped on the dash radio, nothing but static. Then, buried in the hiss, I caught it again, that warped lullaby, soft and slowed. I froze, finger hovering over the knob. The lullaby faded. I shook my head, willed myself calm. Coffee, strong coffee, might clear my mind. I reached for my travel mug on the console. It was empty. Damn it. I keyed the mic. Dispatch, this is Unit 4127. I'm en route to HQ with evidence. Requesting a channel sweep. HQ, clear any stray audio. No reply. I thumbed the button again. Silence. The cruiser engine idled as the lullaby warbled back to life, louder, as though right behind me. My pulse spiked. I yanked the radio off the mount. The wires inside were intact. I slammed it, face down on the seat. I drove west on Route 47, keeping my headlights bright, eyes flicking to every shadow. The desert stretched endlessly, but I felt watched. At Texas Canyon, I pulled over, stepped out, spun in place. Nothing but wind brushing sand across the road. I whispered to the dark, "What are you?" No answer, but the whisper of gravel under my boots. Back in the cruiser, I glanced at the shoe by my right foot. I unsnapped the toe cap. Inside, taped beneath the insole, was a small square of yellowed paper. Heart pounding, I pried it free. Scrawled in cramped handwriting, "I'm still here." There was no signature. A cold dread wrapped around me. I pocketed the note and tucked the shoe under the seat. I punched in the station's coordinates into GPS, watched the blinking icon recede as I drove on. But even as I left, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was trailing something, or being trailed. When I rolled into the precinct garage, the lot was empty, but the garage lights glowed unnaturally bright, humming overhead. I killed the engine. The silence that followed was thick. I grabbed the shoe and note, trudged up to evidence lockup. The watch officer gave me a wary nod. He'd heard the radio chatter about the station. "Rough night?" he asked. I managed a weak smile. "Just paperwork." In evidence room, I logged the shoe under case 4127-E. I placed the note in the envelope. The pump log, the sensor readings, the SD card from the security console, all stuffed into a box labeled Lone Desert Star Incident. I locked it down and dropped the key into the metal bin. I stepped outside again. Afternoon heat had replaced the night's chill. I leaned against my cruiser, arms folded. Everyone else had gone home. Dispatch was silent. My bullet-riddled badge felt heavier now, as though I'd marked myself for something. I sat back at my desk in the briefing room, the logs lined up before me. I replayed the audio from my body cam, static, endless static, until a single guttural whisper, "Thank you." The files ended. No video, no other voices. My reflection in the computer screen stared back, bleary-eyed. Later, at home, I tried to sleep but lay awake, mind racing. My phone buzzed, a text from Hazmat. CO levels inexplicably dropped after intervention. No further anomalies, case closed. No further anomalies. I frowned. I didn't feel like it was closed. I felt like I'd opened a door. I dreamed of the station, that lone pump light flickering, the slot of the speaker convulsing, and that pale clerk's face materializing in the window. Her eyes fixed on mine, body trembling. She mouthed something I couldn't hear. I woke with my fists clenched. Over the next days, I tried to carry on, rolling patrols, taking calls, filing reports. But every so often, on a deserted stretch of road after midnight, my radio would crackle with static that resolved into a single, slowed note of that lullaby. I'd scan the horizon, see nothing but dust motes drifting through my headlights. One evening, I stopped at another remote station, Blue Mesa, off County Road 12. The attendant eyed me suspiciously. I bought a soda and watched him walk away. In the reflection of the cooler glass, I saw behind him the same barefooted footprint, glossy with fresh liquid, though no liquid lay on the floor. When I spun around, I was alone. Back in my cruiser, I checked the footage on the patrol car's console. Nothing. Just grainy black and white emptiness. I opened the driver door, and there, taped under the seat where evidence the previous case had been stored, lay another note. "Now you know." My hands shook so badly I could barely hold the steering wheel. I drove off without pressing charges, without informing dispatch. Because I realized that whatever this thing was, it wasn't tethered to Lone Desert Star. It moved with me, fed on my fear, and now it knew I knew. Tonight, my cruiser idles on the shoulder, engine running, lights off. I sit inside, radio dead, windows down to the cool desert air. The moon hangs low, offering no comfort. I clutch the tennis shoe in one hand, the two notes in the other. Somewhere behind me, a pump clicks on. The lullaby begins. A single warped note that stretches into the void. I turn off the engine and listen. I don't know if I'll ever outrun it. And when you pass a lonely gas pump in the dead of night, watch the shadows, because maybe I'm the only one who heard the call for help.